click that right.
That was
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade During the Midday. That is your boy Joey Dang Options, and I'm Sharif. And we're gonna wait for everyone to weasel on over from the other chat. YouTube always makes us wait, so we'll wait. No problem, YouTube. You take your sweet time. No, everything's fine there. We're gonna put Rigetti on the side chart while everybody comes in from the other stream. Can't wait to shout out some new names. There we go. We got Amari Marit. We got. Who else? Vapaka. I'm looking for some new names, baby. So if you're new, throw your name in the chat. We got Evan. Dollar Bill is in the house. And it wouldn't be a day without my man ADL. So we're going to shout out ADL, even though he's a chat OG. Bob the Builder. No ad. Don't worry about the ads, Bob. They're coming. All right. Jordan Turner. We got him. We got Be the Kid. Okay, I like that one. Joseph Birch, I've seen you before. Marcelo. We got Big Boy. Yes, we got Big Boy and Indeed Money. Who else we got over here? Richard. Okay, Lo-Fi Soul. S'mores. Beantown Patriot. Okay, Crayon Trader. Shout out to Darwin. He says, I'm new. Shout out to the OG Darwin. Always love when he chiming in the chat. We got Stepper. We got David Hogue, cigar attaché, excuse me. He's a cigar attaché. You need cigars, you go through the cigar attaché. We got J Sal. What's up, my man? I see you. We got Elon. Who else is this? Money Compound. We got Damo, officially unburdened. I'm going to have to always call you up, my man. Officially unburdened. We got Pilot Josh. I think I've seen that one. We got Ack. And then we got Dumb Gum 82. Shout out to 82. Shout out to all those born in 82. Yeah. Smokey Love Katina Man. We got Nathaniel Morris. Shout out to him. Matthew Cabral. I see you, sir. I see you. And then a couple of more here. We got Hamlet. And then we got Stevislav Stamatov. Sorry. You know, I very poor Slavic pronunciation, Joseph. I can't hang.
Yeah, I don't think I can hang in that either, man. So, what do we got going on today? It has been nothing short of a banger. Apple slightly disappointing right now, but I mean, we're still up. Well, what can we say? A lot of good news Sharif and I will probably talk about with Apple and their earnings report. We know that China sales are down, my guy, but services are up. So let's see what's going on with that. We'll definitely be talking a little AAPL today. But Sharif, I know you got a lesson today.
I do.
So
do
what
you
are we
want to look at the sectors
That's
quick
exactly.
first?
Hey, mind readers, guys already ahead of me. No, I didn't say it. That's exactly what I was doing. I was kind of leading you into it, right? You know, it was like bait and trap, and then boom.
We got the last lesson of Elliott waves today. We concluded. So all those who hate Elliott wave theory, wait no longer. The lesson ends today, and then we're going to start with some new stuff next week. Joseph, how are we doing in those sectors?
Have no fear. The end is near, guys. All right. So tech sector leading the way. Here we go. Up about 1.4% on the session here. 1.5, we'll call it even. Communication services. I haven't even looked at Meta, but I know I could tell you that Google is starting to trade higher because I am in it. And then we got consumer discretionary, guys, in third place, up about 0.8% there. Then we're going to go from third last to last here, guys. Industrials down about 0.1% there. And then consumer staples down about 0.6. And then we have the energy sector in dead last here, guys, down about 1.6% on the day.
Shout out to DJ Shocker. I see you, sir. You're new here, so I'm going to shout you out. All right, here we go. Last lesson for Elliott wave theory. We're going to talk about the correction wave. So far, what we've talked about is the impulse waves. These are the waves that are going with the trend. Impulse waves, 1, 3, and 5. Corrective waves, 2 and 4. These go against the trend or they move sideways, consolidated. Most of the time, though, it is a pullback. Most of the time, they will not just move sideways. They will pull back a little bit. So let's talk about this. So Elliott wave theory identifies 2 distinct types of waves. Impulse waves, driving the trend, and the corrective waves, pulling back from the trend. Today, we'll explore the 2 main types of corrective waves, or this one says 3, zigzags, flats, and triangles. Understanding these patterns equips you to better interpret market corrections and the potential trading opportunities. So as we always do, let's explain everything from a high level. The 3 amigos, says the book, of corrections. The first one, zigzags, or what we call sharp reversals. So imagine a sharp 3-wave ABC retracement against the trend. Zigzags are the most common corrective pattern characterized by 1, sharp price movement. Expect strong price swings in both directions, the A to B, then the B to C, within the corrective wave itself. And then you got the impulse-like structure. Each subwave, A, B, and C, within the zigzag can sometimes resemble a miniature impulse wave, almost like a mini trend within the correction. So we're looking at wave 2 and 4, and within those waves, we get some subwaves, some mini waves within the larger wave. And then the time frame of these zigzags, they can appear on any time frame, essentially, from short-term charts to long-term ones, so keep that in mind. Here is basically an explanation of what they look like in the bullish form and in the bearish form. And notice how this is the bullish correction wave. So it would be on a downtrend. And then within the correction wave, you have several subwaves. Okay, that's kind of normal. We've seen that before when we've talked about Dow theory as well as some others. There is the long-term trend, the intermediate trend, and the short-term trend, and they're all kind of derivative of the longer trend. Okay? And this is kind of exactly the same thing with more subwaves contained within subwaves. You can kind of break this down to as fractal as you want to get. Then the other type of corrective wave. So we've talked about zigzags, right? That ABC. Now we're talking about flats. And I'm not talking about chicken wings for all you hungry guys out there. Get it, Adara. All right, sideways consolidation, flats. Think of sideways movement with limited price action. That's what we're talking about here. Flats are corrective patterns within a choppy ABC structure where, 1, there is limited price movement. So wave A moves in one direction, wave B retraces some of wave A, and then wave C completes the correction with a move often smaller in the opposite direction of wave A. You'll see what it looks like in a second. And then you have time versus price. This is all within the flats here, okay? The flats can take longer to unfold compared to zigzags with less dramatic price swings. And then the identification of flats, well, they can be trickier to identify compared to zigzags. Specifically, though, what you're looking for here is a horizontal or slightly angled price channel for potential price patterns. And this is kind of what we're talking about. There's your regular, there's your irregular, and then there's your running one. You want to take a screenshot of this or kind of use this as a springboard to learn more about it, have at it, baby. And here are more subwaves within subwaves. Again, can become very fractal. Regular on the left, expanding flat in the middle, then running flat on the right. That's the most rare. And then last but not least, triangles, converging or diverging price action. We talk a lot about this. Flat bottom breaks, flat top breaks. That's kind of what we're looking at. That's just another way to say ascending and descending wedges. So imagine price getting squeezed within a converging or diverging trend line. So triangles are corrective patterns with a 5-wave structure. So an A, B, C, D, E structure characterized by the following. Converging trend lines. So triangle patterns can be ascending, so the price makes higher lows, or descending, where the price makes lower highs. In both cases, though, the trend line defining the triangle, in both cases, the trend lines defining the triangle converge as the pattern progresses, indicating that potential breakout or breakdown for a descending wedge. And then you have the diverging triangles. These are less common, okay? Diverging triangles have trend lines that move in the opposite direction, kind of like a megaphone. So the space between the two lines is expanding, upward or downward, suggesting a potential continuation of the dominant trend, okay? And then you have the breakout version of things. So this is where the triangles often resolve with a breakout in the direction of the dominant trend. We always talk about this when I say, look, we're getting higher lows, we're getting higher highs, yet we have that flat top. And I say, well, what is the direction of the trend? Well, you're getting higher lows with a flat top. Usually you get the breakout in the direction of the trend, which is where the higher lows are. Okay, so triangles often resolve with a breakout in the direction of the dominant trend, whether up or down, once the price touches or breaks a trend line. And just remember, these are simplified descriptions that I'm giving you, very simplified to fit them within, a short lesson while we're doing this live. Real world patterns can exhibit multiple variations. Use other technical indicators certainly to confirm these corrective wave patterns. And And this is kind of what we're looking at, the converging triangles, right? You're getting closer trend lines that are converging together. And this is, I don't have one with the diverging for whatever reason, but you should be able to know what a megaphone looks like. The trend lines are moving away from each other. So how do you trade these corrective waves? So for zigzags, for example, they offer potential short selling opportunities during wave C of the zigzag, aiming to capture the retracement against the trend. Flats can be a bit trickier to trade because it's usually harder to trade in consolidative markets unless you really identify clear areas of support and resistance. However, breakouts from flats can sometimes signal a continuation of the dominant trend. And then the triangles, the breakouts from triangles can offer entry points in the direction of the breakout, whether up or down. So you're looking for that flat top break, you go long, you get that flat bottom break, you go short. That's kind of the idea here. And so by understanding zigzags, flats, and triangles, it should give you valuable insight into potential price consolidation zones within the trend. This knowledge can help you refine your entry and exit strategies for a more comprehensive approach. I hope everybody prints up a storm. And I kind of felt bad a little bit, you know, doing a technical analysis lesson while Michael Noss is on the floor. It's an abomination,
yeah,
Joseph.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like,
a superstar,
what am I doing up in this, you know what? So that's the situation right now, guys. All right, so let's get right down to business. Joseph, what are you looking at?
Let's get down to business. Yeah, I'm in some Google here, guys.
Hey.
I'm talking with a lot of people in the chat right now, me and Officially, and Stevenson as well, too. Stevenson, we'll put in a little story here. As we talk about Google, we're looking for that high day break. We're up 2% or so on Google, but now we're really dumping, which isn't looking too good. Looking for that high day break, not really working out for us right now, but I'm going to give this a little bit wider of a stop. I'm really confident that Google's going to break through these all-time highs if they haven't already. Let me take a look at the daily. Yeah, so we're all-time highs on Google. Let's see if we can continue this price action. The trend is monstrously strong, so we like that. But yeah, Officially, you're at the point, my friend, where I think you know what you're doing. As for IV, you bought them at a good time, right? So you bought them with low IV, with the possibility of the increase. It will increase during the earnings. You're also up 50% as well, too. So really good work there, my friend. Just live and learn, document everything. And Stevenson, we're going to talk a little bit about that. I told you guys from before what happened to me with my short Tesla calls, and it just sucked. So it's like, okay, that wasn't fun. But then I also had another time that a really pivotal moment in my trading is when I was trading at home. I was just trading really well, and I thought I figured it out, Sharif. I'm like, yeah, I got this. What happened? It's all good. And then my equity curve was nice and steady going up. And then I just had this one day where I was refusing to be wrong, and I just gave it all the way. And it was absolutely devastating. Yeah, absolutely devastating, right? But how I felt that in that moment, I was like, I never want to feel like that ever again. So what I did was I just stuck to my rules. So Stevenson or Stevenson, sorry. What you have to do here now is just understand how you feel in this moment. And if you really despise it that much, you won't do it again, and you'll have your risk parameters set in place, and then you'll just abide by them. You'll stick to them, and it'll help you avoid like that. You'll have times where you're like, oh man, this really sucks, but it won't suck as much as being that close to your goal and then giving the majority of it away. All right, so that's just something I did. It sucked. Yeah, all that hard work gone down the drain in a matter of a couple of hours, and it's like, yeah, not gonna feel like that ever again. And sure,
that's a great story, bro. Not the fact that you lost money, but what you got out of that story. I think that helps a lot of people. You and I were talking about somebody else. I'm not gonna mention their name. Online about how his old man gave him money, and he was almost broke, and then he had to force himself into being profitable by sticking to his rules.
Exactly.
It's basically another version of your story.
And exactly, that's what I said. Like, man, it was all that was like months of hard work, and then you just let it go away and diminish in thin air because you're refusing to be wrong. Bro. Yeah. Super. It's even more, man. It's gutted. You feel sick to your stomach. I'm human too. And it's just like, oh, I don't want to go through that anymore. So it's just like you start following it. And then with that, I think you take a massive leap in your trading because then you understand like, hey, not everything is going to work all the time. But what are you cooking up there, my guy?
We're in a long, man. We're in Astis right now because I like Astis.
Astis.
Come on now, I'm trying to come in with some jokes. All right, here we go, baby. We took out 69s. And now I'm waiting at 75s, and then we're going to wait at 82s. But maybe by the time we get back from Adara at the big desk, I'll have taken that 75 print. What do you got, Adara?
We have some news here. So Google apparently mentioning in a blog post that they're bringing NVIDIA's Blackwell GPUs to their Google Cloud with a preview of A4 VMS. Google not doing much here beyond what it's already been doing all day, just pushing to the upside, bull flagging. NVDA here that we're going to take a look at as well. Yeah, and NVIDIA near days highs. So both these already strong names continuing to be stronger here. NVDA and Google apparently with the catalyst together. GOOGL, guys. Back to you.
Dara? So here's the deal. ASTS, nice bottoming tail, kind of hammer candle right now. Let me show you what we're looking at here on the Trusty eSignal platform. So this is the candle I'm looking at right now, which was interesting. Now, what I was waiting for was a VWAP retracement. VWAP currently is at 2090. So what the deal is, I've already taken out 2 of the 5 outs. If this breaks this bottom candle right here, that's the end of the trade. Now, that's not going to be the end of the trade for the day. That'll be the end of the trade I'm currently in. We're 7 pennies out of the money now. So I will be very on alert to see whether this one holds up at $21 or that 2090 area. I'm seeing VWAP on both charts over here at around 2090. Both of them looking like, you know, it would be an interesting area where I'd want to take a long. So if we break down below that 2110 area, I'm gonzino on this one. I'm talking about ASTS. But your boy Rigetti is on one as well. Joseph almost had a really, sorry, bro, entry on that. We heard today that you're the great people at BlackRock with their 11.6 trillion assets under management, was taking Rigetti long before your boy Jensen went on the mic there and said 20, 30 years, and that caused a bit of a move down for them. It didn't care, though. It looks like retail liking the fact that BlackRock threw some money in here because we're up into the dang right. This looks like a bull pattern if I've ever seen one. What happened to the price action? Oh, that's okay. Everything's fine. That looks like a bull flag if I've ever seen one. Again, you got a great bounce off VWAP here. Do we get a second bounce off VWAP? VWAP on Rigetti, 1360 right now. So we'll see if this one wants to come down, possibly have an entry there. Clearly, I'm looking at TCTM. I'm also looking at DXF. Those are big boy movers on the day. TCTM. We're knocking on the door 500% here for TCTM, but it is at a critical level right now. And the reason I say it's at a critical level is because it's right in front of that dollar. So I'll submit to you, it's a different trade north and south of $1. Luis Barbado kind of gave us the 4-in-1 behind the scenes as to why that is the fact. A lot of algos will stop trading a small cap gapper once it drops below the dollar. They don't like the 4 decimal places. They're programmed like that. So sometimes the liquidity dries up, especially the long liquidity. This one is trying to test the dollar right now. Now, the dollar level there also happens to be the 10 exponential on the 5, a level that I love to take pullbacks off, especially for trending stocks. Now, that poses me with a bit of a problem right now because it's at a level that I like to take pullback trades, but it's also below $1, and it's not holding the dollar. In fact, we're dropping now to 95 pennies. So I'm going to need to see proof that this is not going to be a topping tail candle into $1.33, and then wham, bam, thank you, TCTM. We do a Christmas tree retracement back down into 70 pennies, 60 pennies, or wherever the hell this one wants to go. So I don't want to be part of that short, okay? So it's going to have to defend the dollar, stay above $1, prove to me that the dollar is going to hold as a level, and then we'll participate in this one, no questions asked. But it's a good looker on the name, on the day, excuse me, almost 500% right now, 433. There's another one in 200 some odd percent territory. Oh, not right now, but dropping a little bit, 125%. DXF halted to the downside for about 15 minutes, and that usually has a way of killing demand. The longer we're halted on these volatility halts, the more people pull out of the trade. You'll see the theoretical auction price drop and drop and drop once you get past that 5-minute window, that 10-minute window, and from past experience, we know these volatility halts come in waves of 5 minutes, not the news pending, but these volatility halts come in waves of 5. So this one was halted for 15, gapping down now into about 35 and change. Still, though, above that volume-weighted average price, which is hanging out on my chart at least at 32 2/3. Now, DXF is awfully spready, and that definitely has to factor into how you trade this. You need to manage risk. You need to have proper stop loss. And for goodness sakes, use resting profit takers. It's not going to cost you anything. These bad boys, they don't spend all that long sometimes at a certain price level. So try to catch them while you can. And I'm not talking about the movie, but that is the look right now on DXF. I'm sorry. I'm really bad today. Mr. Greenfield, 20 quid. Okay. My man's dropping pounds in the chat there, and I don't mean those type of pounds. Please, and what? Please analyze. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I almost read that wrong.
Yeah.
Wow. I think he meant that on purpose, Joseph.
I don't know if he did.
I think he was trying to get me there because I said deep seek the other day. In the way that it's not meant to be said.
I don't think Mr. Greenfield's that type of guy, man.
Please analyze LTBR. It's a holdover from yesterday, and OKLO, another holdover from yesterday, and how high potentially LTBR for long term. Absolutely. Say less, my man. Okay, but I got to interrupt here because REBN is absolutely flying to the high side. What a beautiful move here on your boy REBN. It's breaking into $5. So I'm going to look at your stock, but I just want to mention REBN in a full state of breakout. Let's look though at your friends LTBR and Oklo. So I like Oklo right now. It's a great few days for Oklo. Ever since bottoming out there at around $30, we've been putting in higher highs and higher lows. We're above yesterday's high. We're making new highs. We're weaseling into that $45 area. It's a fantastic look on OKLO. Get this off a moving average. It's been awfully respectful of the 10 exponential on the 5. You can see nary a touch of the 10 exponential. So any pullback into that, I'd be picking it up. Let's have a look at LTBR. Who are we going to take off here? We're going to have to bring in a side chart because we don't want to take anybody off, Joseph.
Nope.
So we're going to bring it in over here. LTBR. Another one that we were trading yesterday with good results. Another good one. Another good look today for LTBR. It's not the biggest mover on the day. 6.5. At least it's green. We got another high from yesterday, so we're above yesterday's high, and that's a good continuation of the trend because now we got higher highs. If we were to view this on the daily, we've got 2 higher highs and 2 higher lows. So that is a good look. 9.5 acting as resistance right now on LTBR. I like it possibly off 920. There's a pre-market high there that peaks out at 920. You also have the 10 exponential moving average on the 5 hanging out around 9.25, 920 area, 947 HOD. I'd be a buyer likely at the 10 exponential. We'll give this one the old college try, see what happens there. Okay, so I got stopped out of ASTS for the last remaining amount, but as I said, I'm going to be looking at the volume weighted average price on this bad boy to see if we can pick it up at around 2090. Come what may, Joseph.
Hey, let's go. Yeah, we're still holding on to this Google here, guys. Not much going on here. You looked at LBTR, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm looking at it as well too. I like how it's slowly curling over on the daily, so somewhat of a rounded bottom. Beautiful stuff there. PLTR, my guy Gorev in the chat mentioned that. Really good look, my friend. I could tell you've been trading for a while just because of how you analyze things and have the ability to take advantage of them. But I'm going to touch on the Stevenson story one more time here just for a brief second. Not only when you do something like that, you lose your capital, right? But the most important thing is you can always somewhat, if you're a good trader, you stick to your rules, etc., you can gain that capital back. But the one thing that is prolonged and takes a long time to recover, what I found was the mental capital you've spent on trying to force yourself and then going from point A to point B. You know what I mean? So at one point it took what I gained in that, it took me double the amount of time to recover mentally from what I did. So just be weary of that. That mental capital expenditure can come at very, very high costs and really hinder your trading and take even longer for you to recover, all right? So just remember about that, guys. Let's take a look at PLTR here. Continuing to move higher, trading around $85, man. What is this thing? Like, who are Alex Karp and company? These guys are absolutely phenomenal. I thought that it was going to go back to its old ways here and kind of just chop around for a little bit, but this thing just bounced right off of these bottoms and essentially hasn't looked back. So if you're sitting around 63.59, if you caught anywhere around that, you're probably already up around 33% or something along those lines, 35%, which is absolutely insane. So yeah, good look there on PLTR, all-time highs on that stock. Alex Karp and company continuing to keep the ball rolling there, guys. What else is everybody looking at here in the chat? NVDA is still continuing to roar as well. But Google starting to pull back into VWAP. Totally fine. We're still up about 1.8% on the session. They're going to look for that VWAP bounce. I'm going to have to get out of this trade if we break through this support level here around 204. Then I might have held on to it for a slightly longer, but you know what I'm going to say on this one. I can get out, and then there's always probably going to be another opportunity to get back in, especially if the market's strong. We do know that it's Friday, so that volume does tend to taper off at some point throughout the session, all right? Is SoFi a short here? Let's take a look here, my guy, Pathic. SoFi. Okay, so let's see what we got going on from a daily perspective. Nothing crazy. I mean, we haven't breached this gap here yet, but let's see what we got going on from an intraday standpoint, because I'm sure that's what you mean. And I don't know if it's necessarily a short. I'm not going to say that it is. If you break through some key levels, then there could potentially be some more downside here. But as of right now, you're just range bound. If you're going to look for the short, maybe look for the rejection of VWAP here, or if it looks like the momentum is going to step in at the bottom of at the lows here of this support system, you're going to really want to see that volume step in so you can get that flush to the downside. Let's see what kind of moves. Oh yeah, so see, that's the thing here with SoFi here, Sharif. This is really tough price action here. If you look from an intraday standpoint, it's essentially sideways price movement here, which is, for me, really tough to navigate and not something that I would necessarily be looking to trade. There's no orderliness to this trading, in my opinion, right? So you can see all this overlapping candles, and for me, that's going to make me go bald quicker than I already am. So
Stop with that.
so you know what I mean? So that's just my look on that one. If it does break through these support levels, then there can potentially be some more downside, all right? Let's talk about the king of all kings here. And Sharif told me, he said, Joe, bro, stop asking me about this thing. I'm like, oh, man, come on, I can't. I need to hear what you say. I'm like, hey, so here we go with Bitcoin. I'm like, hey, do we break out here? He's like, yeah, we're only going one way, he said to me. I'm like, all right, man, I trust you. I trust your opinion. But here we go, guys, sitting around the top of this range. To be honest with you, if on my notes, I was looking for this breakout. Yesterday's candle was slightly better, but today we're still holding on top of that range. So I think it's a matter of time until we break this 108 and then maybe go into new blue skies here. But other than that, if it fails and this double top comes into fruition, then we might be in some trouble here, guys. And then I'm suspecting that we go a little bit more south and then just chop around this low 90s area. Sharif had a solid point. He's like, man, I think we trade around in this 10K range, and you've been nothing short of wrong here, my friend. You've been right on that thesis, because that's exactly what we've been doing. We've entered another consolidation phase, but with that, the longer we consolidate, I'm still expecting somewhat of a bigger move here on Bitcoin.
Did you see what Ram sent me?
No.
She's trying to hurt me, Joseph.
What'd she do?
She's trying to hurt me.
What'd she do? What'd she send?
She sent me videos of Dua Lipa with her new man there,
they look
under the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, they
Paris, just as carefree as you can be. Yeah. And then she's like, ha 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 ha. Like, it's like she's getting pleasure off this, Joseph. I don't know what's going on over there.
I mean, dude, she's happy, man. She's looking happy.
I know, bro. She's happy that I'm displeased.
Yeah, without you, man. I'm gonna touch on one more thing before I send it to you real quick. Thomas Johnson said thoughts on Apple support. Let's take a look here. The thing is with Apple, man, what a bleed, but I'm starting to like it. Thomas Johnson, if this prints as a hammer here, I'm gonna look for that reversal. I tried a couple stabs earlier, actually one stab, and it just didn't work. So I'm like, okay, momentum to the downside. I think we're going to continue to sell off a little bit here. But if this prints as a hammer, maybe we'll get somewhat of a little bounce here.
All right. So we're going to keep a look at this one. I'm involved right now with your boy over here, ASTS, multiple prints to the high side. Got stopped out for the first trade with three outs left. Got 2 out. Now back in to defend VWAP. So it's going to have to hold at this level, and then we're going to look basically for a print at the quarter. I've got 3 prints so far, but I'm trying to give it a little bit below VWAP, but you don't want to give this too much room. It's a VWAP trade that I'm looking for over here, just jumping in a little bit early. Sometimes they don't make their way all the way down into VWAP. So keeping an eye on that. Also, keeping an eye on Rigetti and QBTS. They're both pulling into VWAP right now. Keeping an eye on that because I might want to pick up Rigetti, QBTS, failing VWAP right now. Looks like it's destined to hit 6. Rigetti just at that $0.50, so that could be a hold. We'll keep our eye on both of these, and we'll send it to Adara at the big desk.
We are going to be looking here at Coinbase here. Coin announcing via their blog that apparently they've acquired Spindle, which is a Web3 growth platform. And they're basically the goal of the Spindle acquisition is to help drive their on-chain adoption. And they also are trying to help builders go viral and expand their distribution. So on-chain related catalyst here for COIN. Pretty range bound today, though, and kind of continuing that, guys.
What do you got?
Yeah, I'm just sitting here in some Google still, guys, waiting for that, waiting for this potential signal on Apple to come into play. If it does, if we have the inability to break the lows, maybe we get somewhat of a little bounce here is what I'm looking for. But let's pull it up from a daily perspective here, Sharif, and see what we got going on. I'm pretty sure we filled the majority of the gap that we, see, so we're right back at the closes of yesterday, our open of yesterday, filling that gap from the earnings report. Is there anything that you would like that you found significant in the report? One thing that I read, Sharif, is that we know that Apple Intelligence has been somewhat of a slow rollout, and you mentioned that there hasn't really been anything like breathtaking about the iPhone 16 for users and for people in the Apple ecosystem to be like, man, I need this phone. I need to get involved in Apple Intelligence. But one thing that I found very interesting is that they're not spending nearly as much as some of their counterparts, such as Meta, Google, Microsoft, etc. Right?
Yeah. We'll get into that in a bit, Joseph, because I'm trying to focus on the trading. I'm sure we'll definitely talk about Apple and the report and everything as we go. But I'm just trying to focus right now because I'm in a couple of trades.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm keeping my eye, guys, right now on Rigetti because Rigetti bouncing off VWAP. And what I'm looking for is the first 5-minute candle to make a new high. But we're still below the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. So that concerns me a little bit. We've got a little bit of a double bottom. So in at 73. Looking for the first print there in the low 80s. We'll see if it wants to hold on to that level. So did actually technically make a new high right now on Rigetti, but it's having a whole bunch of trouble with the $0.75. So let's see if this one wants to continue weaseling back up. ASTS, though, this one looks like it is going to flat bottom break through that volume weighted average price. So we were able to get a couple of outs over here in the high 20s and low 30s, but I don't know, man. I don't know. This one feels like it is destined to break that VWAP area. Stops already in place. Rigetti, we're taking out levels there. There we go. Let's see if we can pop up a little bit more on Rigetti. Makes your palm sweaty trading this bad boy. Seller at 82 over here. Let's see if we can take out 82s. This is a big seller here at 82s. There we go. We take him out 85s. Nice on Rigetti. Now I'm waiting in the low 90s. Let's see if Rigetti wants to keep going here. Good strength on this name, but it's not out of the woods just yet. We're still technically putting in lower highs. So you have basically an area crested around 14.5. You get an area crested around 14. And so we definitely need to take out 14 to change that lower high situation. At least that's how I see it. Now, not every distance between the successive crests is going to be the same distance or, the same price level between the various crests, but the general idea is to look for lower highs or higher highs. Right now, we're getting a nice move up here on Rigetti. I'm waiting in the low 90s. We're showing 88s right now on the ask, 89 as well. Now showing flashing in a little bit, but you feel there definitely is some selling in front of that $14 area. So we'll see. I don't mind adding to this one if it breaks above 14, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the change in direction from lower highs. So I've got small size to start with Rigetti right now, but I absolutely don't mind adding above that $14.05 area. I was watching Joseph yesterday trade IBIT in the morning. The dude was adding aggressively, and it made sense to me. Once I started thinking about that a little bit, I'm like, this makes pure sense, because if you're in a trade that you're already up on, okay, so if you add into it, you can give back the gains. That's fantastic. But if you take your whole position right away and then it goes against you, well, then you're basically starting from zero and now you're in the negative. Whereas if you're in the money and you're adding, you're just giving back from your profits. So it's absolutely it's sound advice to me. So I'd like to be able to do that a little bit more on my trading. How I execute on it probably going to be a little bit different than Joseph because he's been doing a little bit for longer. I'm looking here to take something out, to add into Rigetti above that 14 and change, Joseph. We're going to keep an eye out on that one. ASTS defending VWAP for the moment. Now the question is, do I add at this area? Well, why would I add? There's no higher highs. It's all lower lows, lower highs on ASTS. It's coming into a predictable area, VWAP that is, but it's not changing trend, right? So I need to see a higher high and a higher low to really want to add to this bad boy. Hopefully when that happens, it's not too far away from my entry price. Joseph, what do you got?
Yeah, we're in this Apple bounce here, guys. I like this 5-minute candle. Yeah, if it breaks, then if it breaks the low, thesis invalid here. 238.60 is going to be our outs, but I like this hammer at the lows. Potential turnaround signal, some slight buying pressure too. And the more familiar you get with these signals, you realize if it doesn't close as a complete hammer, that can signify that, hey, there's a little bit more selling pressure left over, and it may take some more time to turn around, but this one doesn't seem too bad. So let's see if we get somewhat of a bounce here. Running into these support levels would be one of the targets here. 244.55 looking for and some change. But yeah, that's the look there. Yeah, as for the ads, I like that Sharif. I think Brankles and Wainers for that, because those guys are like, yeah, you got to add into those winners. So I'm like, yeah, and I see how they've been performing. So definitely inspirational on that front. But what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, so what I used to have on one of my trading platforms, to touch on this subject a little bit more, is that I had something called a free roll hotkey. So what it did was that it calculated, so if you wanted to add to the position but only risk your unrealized gains, it would calculate those shares. Yeah, exactly. It was a sick hotkey. So it would calculate how much unrealized you had, and then calculate the amount of shares that you could acquire or allocate from said stop price, right? So you would select your stop price, and then it would calculate your unrealized and then give you X amount of shares. So that helped me as well too. Really good tool. So if your platform allows you to do so, then definitely look to take advantage of that, guys. But here we go, getting somewhat of this bounce here on AAPL. Still positive on the session, though, surprisingly, even though we did fill up the gap on the daily, up about 70.75% there. On the session, let's see what everybody else is up to. Google is starting to break out. I am in that as well, guys.
Nice.
I said this thing is strong, so I was looking for the continuation. We had somewhat of this bull flag being formed. I'm like, oh, okay, let's see if we can break the high. But the market always needs to breathe. Stocks need to breathe. So you get that pullback. I'm like, okay, let me hold on to it. Even though the ideal entry price would have been significantly lower, near the bottom of the range instead of on top of the range. But here we go, starting to climb higher, up 2% on Google here, guys. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's necessarily ripping Pathic, but it is trading higher, which we do like. So yeah, that's it. That's what we got going on. A little bounce on Apple and a little bounce on Google. But let's see. I love that idea, especially on a trending stock. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing about the free roll. It's really useful. So you're no longer so like you're risk free essentially at that point. So the only thing that you would lose is your unrealized, especially if you locked in gains already, right? So that's one thing that I tend to go by, is that I don't like to, if I have a winning trade, I don't like to turn it into a loser. So again, if it comes back to your break even, you can always get out and then get back in, right? Essentially the same thing, especially if it wicks down a little bit. You can even potentially get a better price, but that's something that I like to do. I'll take a look at one more for the incredible Mr. Lib before we send it back off to my guy, and he wants to take a gander at MRVL. Have you ever been to Newfoundland, Sharif?
Never, man.
Oh, it's good
never.
stuff.
I've never been to the Maritimes, in general.
Yeah, I went to.
There he is.
There we go. I was a young lad when was over there. I went to the French island there, Saint Pierre and Miquelon.
Yes.
Yeah, Saint Pierre.
So that's off Newfoundland, right?
That's off the coast of
That's
Newfoundland.
right. Yeah, I remember people. They got
all hills.
They use euros. They got French license plates.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all French and stuff.
Yeah. Everything closed at 11, or whatever it was, 1 o'clock.
Oh, for the siesta?
Yeah. I guess that's in Spanish, but I don't know if the French call it that. But it is that time.
What do they call it?
But yeah, here we go, guys. Let's take a look at Marvell here, starting to pull back, trending with all these tech stocks here as well, too, guys. So good look here on Marvell, following the overall market, so we're going to continue to monitor what's going on. It is somewhat of a, well, not somewhat, it is a bullish Friday.
All right, Joseph. All right, we're done our trade right now on Rigetti. Here's the deal. I'm worried that it's not going to break through 14, so I'm waiting for 14 break and take, and I'm going to add into this one. So we took a nice 25 pennies, not the greatest trade, but not bad. So my concern is that this ends up coming into a consolidation area and then rejects. So I'd like to see a decisive move above 14 so that we can test that 14.5 again. Already coming down a little bit right now. We'll see. We'll see with this one. I've got a plan for it. It's going to have to hold above 14. I see 14 as an area top. It's also psychological resistance being the whole dollar. So that's a look. I'm also in right now at $4 on REBN. So we're 0 for 1 on this one. We already tried taking a nice trade. Sorry, not a nice trade. It was a bad trade because we got stopped out. But we took a little bit off the top. Now it's at VWAP. It's at that whole dollar area. I'm trying to give it some room. It's still not really bouncing off $4 in the way that you would hope it would bounce off. And there we go. We just got stopped out as it broke through 4. So we'll keep an eye on this one. Now this could be a specialist breakdown, right? Where it breaks through VWAP and then pops right back up. So I'm still interested on this one because it hasn't given up the ghost at the volume weighted average price. Let's see what it does. If it wants to reclaim 4 and then make that new 5-minute candle to make a new high, which currently would take it above about 415 or so. So the current candle at 1135, or the previous candle, excuse me, at 1135, the high there was 415. So if it can make another high above 415 and change that lower low, lower high trend, we'll get back in, but we lose 10 pennies right there. Adair is at the big desk.
Thank you there for that, Sharif. Yeah, we're going to take a look here at earnings for next week because we do have, we introduced it earlier this week, the brand new TTV Research original earnings board. So this is really fun here. I fit as many logos as I possibly could into each day. We're going to talk about the biggest days here. Monday night, huge here with Palantir. I mean, we also have Clorox and NXPI, but Palantir, Monday night, you're going to check that out with Neil, myself, and Michael Noss will be there as well on over Zoom. So check that out as well. Mr. Noss. Then Tuesday morning, we have got Pfizer, PayPal, Ferrari, Estee Lauder. Tuesday night, another massive one here. AMD, Alphabet, Snapchat, MicroStrategies, Chipotle. Wednesday morning, we'll get a couple of major ones as well. Novo Nordisk, Uber, Disney. After the close on Wednesday, we get ARM, Qualcomm, Ford. Thursday morning here, Peloton, which is quite the mover. Working on a graphic related to that one that we will debut soon on TTV Research. And then Eli Lilly as well Thursday morning. After the bell on Thursday, we do have Amazon as well as Pinterest. So it is a huge day. If you're a cannabis stock trader, there's a couple cannabis stocks reporting this week as well. Make sure you check that out on X at TTV Research. It has just been posted, guys.
Thank you very much, Adara. Halted to the high side is another small cap gapper, BAOS. Big mover. Let's bring in the side chart over here. We'll load up. Big step, yeah. Or as Neil said the other day.
What do you say?
You didn't hear what he called IBM?
No.
The International Bodman Machine.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
So BAOS. That was live, too, by the way. So BAOS, Joseph, halted to the high side at 505 right there. Good move for BAOS. Don't see anything. Well, we'll check in a second here on the news blotter BAOS. Throw on the ticker super quick. Let's see what we got over here. Nothing. Yeah, I know they're all volatility halts. I'm just looking to see if there's anything from yesterday as well. No, not really. Nothing for BAOS. So no idea why this is running. But here are the details on it. It's $7.7 million market cap. The volume is really light, about 441,000 shares traded so far. The float's even smaller, 900,000 share float. So this one can become awfully parabolic, as you're seeing right now, BAOS. It's got a short float, decent short float. So small float, sub 1 million, short float 11%. So this one can really probably get its footing under it. We're going to keep an eye out on this one, no question. I've already put it on the side chart. We'll trade this one if it sets up in the right way, BAOS. I'm still keeping an eye, though, as you can see here on Rigetti. I don't want to be quick to get in yet, but now we're kind of doing a bit of a consolidation move, where we're ranging sideways between about 13 and 4/5 and around $14. So I'm going to keep my eye out on that one. I could definitely be interested in working my way back in here, but I still want that 14 break and hold. I'm not feeling this one unless we get that break, the break of 14 and the continuation of higher highs and higher lows. So I'm just going to pack my patience on that one. ASTS, we already got stopped out of that one. as it broke below $21. It's still close to VWAP, so I'm not going to get into it right here, but if it wants to reclaim VWAP and give me that change in trend, it's going to have to put in higher highs and higher lows. Get involved in that one, no problem, but it's going to have to change trend. I'm seeing Oklo pull into the 10 exponential moving average. It's been awfully directional on the day in a good way, so let's load up OKLO. We had this bad boy on watch yesterday as well, and we did decent on it. It's getting more expensive, though, every time I look at it. Price going up and up, so 44.5 right now is the 10 exponential moving average. We're coming into that level, and this is about a 2-candle red setup right now with that 44.40 seems to be a level of interest here. We've multiple times been bouncing off that 44.40. Not really sure why, but yeah, you got defend of it over here at 11.15 and again at 11.25, and then we made another attempt at it a few minutes ago at 11.43. So we'll keep an eye out on that one as well. Decent pullback right now for OKLO. ASTS just reclaimed the volume weighted average price, and now it's got a new 5-minute candle to make a new high. But is this going to be the bamboozler like it bamboozled us last time? We're going to give this one the old college try, Joseph.
Hey, the old college try. I like that one. The old JUCO try there. The old JUCO try. The old JUCO, man. I love those.
I love how you called it that, though. That's so American.
Yes.
Really.
But here we go, guys. This signal on Apple is really starting to work out pretty good here. I was just reading some things on the side here as well about the kind of the earnings report, and none other than Danny Ives obviously chiming in on this. So he's saying that the iPhone 16 cycle is still outperforming the 15, which is really interesting. I heard some analysts talking about yesterday. Now they're saying the super cycle is really going to kick into phase when the 17 comes out. And I'm like, man, the 16 just came out. I don't know why we're talking about the 17 already. But I mean, that's
living in the future, eh?
Jeez, yeah, they're living in the future, man. Forward looking. So. A lot of interesting stuff if you guys want to read into that report, as I am currently doing, and I did a little bit of due diligence last night. But Nessa in the chat asked us to take a look at Amazon.
Okay.
And yeah, I like how the price is compressing here, forming that bull flag or that ascending wedge, whatever you may call it. Some key resistance levels. So you know what I'm going to say with this one here, Sharif. We're going to need to see that volume step in order for us to break through these levels and then continue to the northeast here. So that's my thesis there on Amazon. If it breaks, then maybe we can get the ball rolling. The market is starting to pull back, and I like pullbacks around this time with indecision around the volume weighted average price, because that can give me an idea like, hey, okay, so that the momentum slowly phased out somewhat, right? But now we're at a key level where we can take that bounce, and then in the latter half of the session, we can just slowly grind for that second leg. So that's one thing that I like to see, especially around these times. Let's see if that comes to fruition. It may or may not, and that's okay. But we're going to continue to take some things out here on AAPL, on this bounce. Let's see how deep it will go. Now I'm risk off essentially. So what we're going to do is have to get out break even if it comes back against us. Someone in the chat also said that the sell program is fully engaged, and you're not wrong whatsoever. But I do think at some point the stock is going to breathe, and then maybe we get somewhat of a recovery here, a retracement, a mean reversion, as OB would like to call it, back towards somewhere anywhere around VWAP or even around these key support levels, 241.90, something I'm going to be keeping an eye out. But again, guys, I'm going to touch on this one more time and show you. I essentially only have 2 intraday trade-like setups, playbooks I would like to call them, that I've been refining and and this is one of them here on Apple. And here, is this the signal right here? We had multiple throughout the session, so sometimes you just got to be wary and abandon the thesis when it breaks to lows, because that's what you're going to essentially risk off of. Low a day here, and then before these candles printed, low a day here, and then now we're getting that bounce into these areas.
All right, here we go. We're in Oklo now. Let's see if this one wants to hold. The 10 exponential, waiting at 88s, and then I'm waiting at 98s, 87 showing up on the ask. It's got a cross, because it's got about a 3-penny spread at the moment. Look, it made a new low, but I like the way that it was bought up and bang, there it is. Let's see now, 99s, bang, there it is. Okay, good. So we've taken out multiple outs there. Let's see if we can put some now on top of 45. Let's hang out at 10s. Let's see what we got up here. So good look right now for OKLO. It's stronger on the day, baby. 7 1/5. So it's a good day. It's a good continuation play. I'll put it that way. Here we go. We're also involved in Rigetti. And my palms are sweaty. Let's go. We're going to take out some in front of 14 here. Where are we long on Rigetti? 89s. We already took out some on 95s, waiting at 14s and layering the orders. I like Rigetti's higher low situation, but I am still concerned with that $14 psychological resistance. Once we broke it and we got up into that $14.50 area, we broke below, got into 13.5. We've been having a lot of trouble breaking and taking 14. What's keeping me interested is this double bottom at 13.5, give or take, and then the move up with higher highs and higher lows. So looks like a possible trend change here on your boy, Rigetti. BlackRock involved in this bad boy. They got rinsed a little bit on it. We'll talk more about that as the show goes on. Back to ASTS, 3-candle bounce now off the volume weighted average price. We're long at 02s. I'm showing me 10s. I'm layering my orders into the 20s. It's a nice 3-candle hold up off the volume weighted average price. But I got to tell you something. We're still below the 10 exponential moving average. So we're not out of the woods by any means yet. OKLO, let's flip back to that one because I'm seeing that one's popping into 45s. Okay, so decent move. Now we're showing 45s on the ask right now. Seller of note, hidden seller. So there's an iceberg order right now at 45s, unable to break through that. That's an obvious iceberg right there because you're able to see that there was no size posted on the gateway, on any of the gateways, and I have all of them, okay? But we weren't moving. So to me, that just spells iceberg. You're going to be able to notice that kind of stuff because they're not going to show their hand. You got to be able to pick it up using the level 2. And one thing to see is exactly how much size that iceberg has. You won't be able to see it, obviously, on the level 2 because it's not posted, but it won't be able to bamboozle the time and sales. So you'll be able to see the buy orders or sell orders typically that are coming in on the time and sales and the quantity of how much there. That should give you an idea of what the size of the iceberg that's hanging out at that level is. Not going to be a scientific method by any means because it's flashing at a million miles a second, but the point is to get an idea of how much size that they're holding at that level. So that's what we're doing right now. Took out multiple prints there on Oklo, waiting for that 45 break. It is not forthcoming at the moment. The high of the day, I should mention, right around that $0.25, 45.23, give or take. So that is a look. Let's go back to Rigetti. Still having trouble with Rigetti with that 14 flat top. The thing keeping me interested, though, incrementally higher lows on the 5-minute. Not by much, but it's showing a little bit of buyer exuberance, picking it up at higher and higher levels on every successive move up. We'll have to see if that continues to be the case. Oklo coming right back down now into $0.75. So rejected 45. Now we're already down 25 pennies, but we're long at 72s. I've got my out below 40s. Now, the reason I like that 40 area is because we kept bouncing off that 44.40 area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get stopped out. I think if we break 60s, and then what I'll do is I'll place my order at 40s with an even tighter stop there to see if we get picked up on that level. So a bunch happening right now. I'm in ASTS to the high side, Oklo and Rigetti. I got to tell you, Oklo, my least favorite of them at the moment because it's going to do an rounded top. So we're going to stop out here on Oklo. So I'll lose about 5 pennies on that remaining amount. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw an order at that 40 penny level. I'm going to try to front run it by a couple of shekels to take that consolidation area bottom and then see if there's a nice bounce up. But let me tell you, it's going to have to hold that 30 print. So we're going to go ahead and throw out those orders already so we don't get too much in the way of slippage on this bad boy. Joseph, what is going on your side of the desk, my man?
Yeah, I'm like in a try Apple long again. D says, I think so. We haven't broke that low just yet. So I like your thinking there. Potentially good play. But let's take a look at Tesla here. Because I knew it was like, okay, earnings day 2, I believe it reported Wednesday evening. So this is what I was thinking. Okay, it didn't have the best of sessions, but now usually everything's cooled out, and then we put in this monster run on Tesla. Unfortunately, missed this trade here. But I do like this consolidation phase here. We can point out some key levels on this on both the top and bottom. So support and resistance here, guys. So very, very interesting. Let's see which way we go. Do we need to grab some more liquidity before we break through with any form of momentum? But we do need to see that volume step in order for us to break. So that's one thing I will be keeping my eyes on. But we do have a $10 super chat. So speaking of Tesla, so Tesla was allowed to include BTC into profit due to SEC. MSCR reports next week. Low on the daily, looking at 407 calls. If you're not on PLTR, earnings as well too. I don't know, but champagne is what is the name of the game. So there we go, Case. Thank you for that. We're talking about Tesla right now, and here we go. Starting to break. All right, let's see if we can get involved in this. Hopefully this isn't a fake out because the volume is starting to step in a little bit here. I don't necessarily love buying the tops of the range here, but if we can take that second leg, I like that. So let's see what we got going on here with Tesla, Sharif.
Yes,
we're going to get in it. We're really extended from VWAP for my liking. So I have to get out at the break of certain key support levels. What that will be, 416, we clear that, then I might have to think about it. But most definitely, the hardest of all hard stops would be at 414.25. I am using TSLA, so that'll put me at $28, using about 50 cents of risk right here. Jay Lee says he's long Apple right now as well too. I don't like it right now because we are potentially going to test some of these lows. So I'm going to wait on that. As of right now, it's looking like this might be somewhat of a liquidity grab here on Tesla, Sharif.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully it ain't a fake out because I would like for that second leg to happen. But what a monstrous run it's been on. The 2x levered TSL is up about 8.5%. So we're up about 4.2%, 25%, 4.25% on Tesla. It seems to be the case on the session.
All right, my man. There we go. Now we're still holding on ASTS. We got the print at the 20 penny area, but it's coming right back down into my entry. Still holding VWAP. So now that 3 candle green setup is in question because we just made a newer low. This ain't the trade for me at this level. Getting out, it's going to have to set up in a little bit better way. I'm not going to sit there and dance with the consolidation on ASTS. It's either going to break out or we're not going to trade it. Simple as that. I'm not here to trade consolidation. So done with that trade. Rigetti. What are we doing here on Rigetti? Coming back down a little bit into. Yeah, it's rejecting 14. So we've taken the majority of the position out here on Rigetti. I'm going to set up a dip trade at 60s. It defended VWAP before. If we can get a bounce off there, I'll just trade it the bounce trade off of VWAP. I think I paper handed the Rigetti entry before because I had a good entry at around the volume weighted average price. Looked for that aggressive move up to test the high of the day. Didn't really look to play the bounce off VWAP. So let's go ahead and throw that out right now. So 1362, let's go ahead and hang out at 65s, give or take. We'll throw that bad boy on there. We'll see if we can get a bounce off that level. Oklo, what are we doing here on Oklo? Took it out as we broke 40, so we got the majority of the position out. Stopped out in the last remaining couple of shares there. Yeah, there's really lack of continuity today, guys, on these small cap gappers. You kind of feel like yesterday was definitely a bit of a better day to trade them. Today, there's really not that much movement back up to the high side. You're having to kind of take the scraps, so to speak, and that ain't the move. That's not why we're trading small cap gappers. We're looking for parabolic moves to the high side or downside if you like these bad boys short. I don't typically take them short. Looking at my scanner to see if there's anything coming up. Not really a whole lot moving right now on small caps. Everything in a bit of a consolidation phase. If you guys see anything that's moving in small cap world, even if it's less than $1, because I filter all my small caps below 85 pennies. So if you guys see something that's moving, tag Joe or I in it, and we'll definitely have a look at that. But for the moment, there ain't a whole lot happening for these small caps, Joseph. So let's look at some of the large caps over here. We'll bring in the trustee side chart. Let's have a look at the Mag 7. We've got to call this the Mag 9 over here because we got 9 charts. It's a little embarrassing calling it the 7 there because that ain't 7. So here's the look. All right, good Amazon defend of VWAP. Meta, same look. We should be looking at these guys because they're defending VWAP nicely. NVIDIA at VWAP, but looking like it wants to break it. It's got a couple of higher lows here since breaching VWAP. Uber as well. That's obviously not a mag name. Below VWAP, not for me. Netflix looking real good here off anything VWAP related. Netflix wants to take that $1,000 area again, about $13 away. It's got a bit of a flat top at around 987. Similar look with Tesla. Above VWAP with that flat top at around 418. Goggles, the same look. Like these ones are all trending strongly, using VWAP as support, almost all of them. I mean, Meta breaches VWAP at times because it's a bit more of an expensive name now that it's 700 and change. But we're going to keep an eye out on these large caps, because if we have to trade these because the small caps don't have continuity, that's fine. We'll weasel into those, Joseph. But for the moment, going to stay clear of these small cap gappers because they ain't showing me what I want to see. BAOS, though, trying to pull back up here. We're talking about this one. Okay, so this one's halted back up to the upside at around 5 1/4, 5 1/5. Technically, the halt level, 522. Up 68%. This one a bit of a bamboozler, though. Breaching VWAP. Looks like it found its footing at that $4.50 level where it found buyers, and now it's halted at 5 1/5. So good strength there for BAOS. The problem is, though, it's unable to stay open for any prolonged period of time, Joseph. So we're going to have to keep an eye out on this one. Don't mind trading it, but it's going to have to calm down a little bit.
Hey, yeah, there we go. Google just chopping around this area. I think I'm going to get out of it, guys, just because as of right now, if I'm going to play this breakout or this second leg higher, whatever you want to call it, I can get a better price. So not going to hold it up here. Going to just get out of the position, reassess, and see if it's even worthy of getting back in. I'm sure at some point it is, but one thing that's working out for us, so there's that Google trade. Here's our Apple trade, Then we got out at break even, took a little bit off, and then I mentioned stop now at break even, so we had to get out of there. But now TSLA is starting to work for us. Yeah, let's go. Breaking through the highs. And guys, you know my style. Okay, well, maybe not working out as clean as we would like, so eating those words real quick. But guys, you know my style. I like my entries as close to VWAP as possible. Gives me a definitive line in the sand and really key risk measures. So as of right now, I'm risking all the way to the low of this. So I need double that move, which is kind of tough. So that's going to be almost $1 move that I need here in TSLL, especially with the overall market starting to pull back. Buying these highs isn't necessarily the best thing to do, in my opinion, when the momentum starts to taper off, right? We are in that lunchtime hour, sorry, so we need to keep that in mind. You're not going to get that crazy momentum, and it's Friday, so the Wall Street boys are ready to get it going. Well, maybe not, because they probably took some hits on NVDA, so they're thinking about getting out of the office somewhat early maybe today and just relaxing, but here we go in some TSLL. Seeing if it's going to work out. But again, I mentioned I'm at the highs. I'm buying the highs here, and I don't absolutely love it. So we're going to keep our risk management especially tight here. But Payco, OR, as usual, you get your money storm. Tesla, there you go. Money storm for you, Payco. Love it, love it, love it.
Payco.
Yeah, exactly. He's always getting it. So Mike Davis in the chat, a regular, says LVO contract. Let's see what we got going on with LVO Live One. Not familiar with this group. Penny stock, maybe Sharif, but it's not overly liquid. Not the best price action either. It is in play today, though, considering what this price action will tell you. It was just barcoding and algorithmic. But here, the liquidity steps in. So nice look. Let's zoom out and see what we got going on from a daily perspective. Breaking out. That volume is starting to step in a little bit here, but nothing crazy. Rejecting these highs pretty good, so that's a key pivot, and it bounced right off of those. So that is the look on LVO.
All right. Redneck PP. No, it's Redneck Pepe. It's his name, Neil. What do you want? No, we're going to do this one first. So let's have look at HUBC. Here it is. Oh, that's AVGO. Oh, that's a good one. Look, it's a light on volume, though. That's the problem with HUBC, Redneck Pepe, because, well, it's cheaper, so it's got to do some more volume over here. We're talking about 85 pennies, and we've only done 6 million shares. I do like the chart pattern, though. I do like how we're coming into those highs at around 85 pennies, testing that high. I'd like to trade this one above 92 pennies. I have a rule with my small cap gappers that I like to trade them above pre-market highs. The pre-market high here, to me, was printed right at that 4 a.m. time slot. Not on much volume, about 200,000 shares, but the high there was 92.5 pennies. We're at 85 pennies, so we don't have to wait that long, possibly, to take out that level, but I don't know how I feel about breaking my rules with this one. And it's also been not really respectful of the volume weighted average price. It's kind of used VWAP here as a line of best fit, centering between the majority of the price action. That isn't what I typically use VWAP for. So I don't want to jump into HUBC super quick, but here's what I'm going to do, because it's a good possible move here. I'm going to throw it an alert at around 90 pennies to kind of give me, you know, a four, like just to let me know ahead of time as we're approaching that pre-market high. Once we get up there, I'll definitely be interested in trading it. We'll have to see how it does between now and then, though. From now, we're going to send it to Adara, who's at the big desk.
Bang.
Part of the show is brought to you by Prop Firm Match. Are you a skilled trader but lacking capital? Prop Firm offers the opportunity to trade with simulated funds, allowing you to showcase your skills, access account sizes ranging from 5K to 500K, and you can start with as little as $20. But with over 500 prop firms out there, how do you find out which ones are the best? That's where Prop Firm Match steps in. Prop Firm Match is your go-to platform for finding and comparing only the most esteemed firms with proven track records and consistent long-term payment histories. Access over 4,500 verified reviews, explore payout histories, and discover the best current deals, all in one place. So just scan that QR code or visit propfirmmatch.com today and find the perfect prop firm for you. We're going to take a little look here at the S&P 500, up about 0.6% right now. Both the SPY and the NASDAQ a little bit removed from their highs, but still sharply up on the day. We did have some comments from Fed Goolsbee. He started out pretty dovish and then kind of became increasingly hawkish as he continued. He did have seemingly a little bit of concerns here about what the policies of the new administration could bring, saying that he actually doesn't think a one-time tariff is particularly inflationary, but there could be some concerns if we continue to see this, so they're going to have to continue to evolve these policies. In the meantime, he does think that 2% inflation is possible, but he thinks it's going to take a little bit longer and they're going to have to be a little bit slower in their pursuit of that rate. And we have Google on watch here as well. I mean, this one's just been chilling out near all-time highs for much of the day, saying that they're actually going to be bringing the NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs to Google Cloud. It's also been a great day for earnings names, but a lot of them have actually not been so great on the day. This is DECK Deckers near day's lows, despite a really strong report. We have AbbVie kind of chopping around here as well, Intel, and I just saw, and Sharif, watch out for this one, not really a small cap, but certainly moving like one. It's Franklin Resources here, BEN. This name is up significantly on the day here on that 15-minute chart. We'll switch to a 3-minute, but this one just popped up for me for volumes, so be aware of BEN. And with that, I'm very excited here to announce we have Michael Noss here sitting next to me. He's going to talk a little bit about, I believe, nuclear. So take it away, Michael.
Yeah, absolutely. So I heard Sharif there talking about these small nuclear reactors, and a lot of you guys know that I've been following the space quite a bit, as a lot of people have, because it has so much to do with the AI and how they're powering it and what's everything doing. So I just wanted to show some longer-term charts on some things that I thought that might be interesting, especially for Sharif's trade there. And this is NLR. So NLR, for those who don't know, is just an ETF that not only tracks uranium as a whole when it comes, but also all these nuclear names. And when I was looking through what the holdings were, number 3 right there, OKLO. So this would be a good one to keep on your radar if you're watching this. We're only right behind CEG and PEG. So it's got the big guys. The third one down is the little one right there. What's really stood out, you can see NLRs, we're kind of just stuck in a range, but it's holding very, very well. What really shocked me, and this is a chart right here, where it's actually comparing NLR, or this nuclear ETF, over uranium. So this is a relative ratio chart, and it's essentially just saying that these reactors are actually not only outperforming uranium as an ETF itself, but they're actually breaking out here. So it's just showing that even though uranium isn't moving very much, and you can kind of see it by if you eyeball the uranium chart, there's a lot of pickup in these names. So for a momentum point of view, when we're looking at momentum, it's one of those that's really interesting. So OKLO looked interesting, but I also wanted to highlight NNE a little bit. So full disclosure, I hold some of this. We got some on a pullback. But you can see these highs have just been sitting here at 31, 32 bucks forever. Broke that, came in and tested. So just across the board, it's one thing I love about watching the show, and I'm still sitting here, I'm still watching the show, but he just brought up OKLO, and it made me just kind of go down this rabbit hole, seeing a lot of strength in these nuclear names, and we know when they get going, they're really, really good momentum plays.
Yeah, thank you so much for that there, Michael Noss, for that talk on nuclear. And with that, actually, we have another talk here. It's going to be Neil and his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Both Adara and Michael as well. We got a lesson of the day here for everybody, and a little bit of not abbreviated, but a little bit later. You know, got some lunch, had a meeting, but we're gonna get you the lesson no matter what. I think a lot of times we've said this before. If it's not going, if it's not moving, then you should move on. And obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that while Apple wasn't a good long, the Apple moved today. So obviously this, I think, was a name that wanted to be on your radar, that you wanted to take some shots in. I think it's pretty obvious to say that NVIDIA was a name or is a name that you wanted to be involved with, that you wanted to take some shots in. So two stocks that you're going to maybe be trading a little bit more heavily. But the other aspect of this is when you start to settle down after the opening rush, after 10 o'clock, maybe into lunchtime, this is where you got to have a little bit of a transition phase. If the stock that you're looking at isn't going, then you go somewhere else. And I want to shout out and thank everybody in the chat that helped reinforce this point, because we were talking about Alphabet in the pre-market, and obviously it made fresh all-time highs. You're going to not have seen me traded off of the open, which I think was a bit of a mistake. You guys can see what happened here. But eventually, as long as you get to it eventually, I think it's okay. That said, sometimes it's not that hard before the market opens up, before you're picking out all these different stocks, to know where you might want to be. And that's going to lead me to two stocks: Deckers and Walgreens. Now, Deckers down 16% after earnings. Deckers it wasn't even that bad of a report, but this is the kind of move that you know is going to create opportunities. I know Intel reported too. Intel's flat on the day. But you've got to understand that this is the kind of stock that, hey, should be on the radar, probably worth trading, and a lot of times you're not going to usually trade this unless it has a move like this or unless it has earnings. Now, I had plans for this stock, and I didn't trade it, so that's why I'm slapping a fail on myself, because I like a mean reversion trade. And I can show you, here, I'll show you, Rigetti wasn't a bad trade. That's not bad. But you know what? That's nothing compared to what you could have done with Decker. And it's not rocket science. Like Rigetti, okay, fine, it made that big move off the open, you transition over to it. This one was a little bit more simple. It was bad news. It tries to rally from like $190 to $200, and then right off the open, you get a monster mean reversion with continuation. So it's a setup that is a normal one, and it's like bonkers A+, bigger opportunity percentage-wise than anything you're going to see. And it's not rocket science. It was down double digits after it reported. It's in play. You should be looking for setups on a stock like this. And it's not just that. It's Walgreens too. I'm in Walgreens now, but there's no excuse for not being in Walgreens earlier. Like I'm playing a reversion play on Walgreens, but this is the exact same principle. Shouldn't complain about being in NVIDIA. Shouldn't complain about being in Google. But the other stocks that we're looking at, this is down 10 points. Was down more than that, is SSR. There is a very, very clean mean reversion trade. How many times did you see me draw a trend line on Apple this morning and look for a mean revert? How many times? 4? 5? Right? How many times did you have to break the morning trend to get one monster win on Walgreens? Once. And it went clean from 960 all the way up to prior highs. Now I'm trying a mean reversion in the other direction. But this is what I'm getting at. When you have setups that you like, tried and true, they can apply to different types of stocks technically, and that's all well and good. But knowing where you should be on a day like today or on any day is so important. And you can always get wrapped up, okay, I like this stock, I like that stock, I like big cap stocks, I like Apple, it's moving around. I like Palantir, that would have been good today. But in earnings season, which we are in right now, you're going to get these big outsized moves on some random stocks that maybe you don't trade, where your tried and true setups are going to be right there for you, and they're going to be even better because there's more volatility in them. So when I look at this, I would have just had to wait patiently, which I don't have any trouble doing, to take one shot at Walgreens. Or I could be taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shots on Apple. That's what you're always trying to get better with. And look, maybe Apple does the one big one, and here's actually the trouble with this. let's say this last one on Apple or any one of them gets into VWAP and makes the day. That's just going to reinforce the fact that it was right to be on Apple instead of just taking that one trade on Walgreens. So it's like if Apple had worked today, you wouldn't even learn the lesson. But it would still be true because this was a better opportunity, and it's not like you're going to get a chance to trade Walgreens on a move like this every single day. That's just not how it is. So your lesson of the day, when things are moving and things are in play, you want to make sure you are on them because it's not going to be like this every day on these random stocks. When they're moving, when Rigetti's moving, you want to be over there. When Oklo's moving, you want to be over there. When Walgreens is moving, you want to be over there. And when Apple's not having the day conducive to your style, you don't have to trade Apple that day, right? So being in the right place is just as important as making the right trades or trading the right setup. That's your lesson of the day, everybody.
Really quickly, before we go back to the Bash Brothers, thank you so much for your lesson, Neil. I do want to talk here. We do have some news here. Like, if you look at GM, we've got a bit of a volume increase. Basically, we're seeing some reports here that Trump is now expected to issue tariffs against Canada and Mexico on March 1st. Initially, we were hearing February 1st. Now we're hearing March 1st. The other aspect of this, though, that I think is pretty crucial, so look at GM, look at Ford, look at any of those stocks that got a bit of volume to the downside on the tariff announcement yesterday. Apparently, an official from the U.S. administration is saying that Trump is reviewing details of the tariffs plan, and this could mean that there are some exemptions. However, apparently these exemptions will be, quote, few and far between. So to summarize the story, we're going to get A, later than expected tariffs, and B, potentially lighter than expected tariffs, though again, the lighter part might not actually come to fruition here. So tariff news. With that, we will go back to the guys.
Appreciate that. Adara?
I was thinking that. I thought the 25% was slightly hefty. Maybe his team making him rethink that just a little bit here, Sharif.
Yeah, man. Here's the headline, guys. If you want to read the entire thing, here it is. U.S. President expected to announce new tariffs against Canada and Mexico that will begin March 1st, but will include a process for the countries to seek specific exemptions for certain imports. 3 people familiar with the planning told Reuters the tariff situation remained fluid on Friday, and no decision is final until the Donald Trump makes a public announcement. The source, who asked not to be named because they are not authorized to speak publicly on the matter, said they did not have details on the final tariff rate, but noted Trump has consistently said he plans to impose 25% tariffs on imports from the 2 countries. Separately, an administration official said Trump on Friday was reviewing tariff plans, which may allow for some exemptions. Still, any exemptions would have to be few and far between, that's quotes. While the announcement of the tariffs may roil financial markets and strain the U.S. relationship with its 2 trading partners, offering a 28-day window, because February, right, shortest month, before implementation, and a process for exemptions would suggest a more careful approach by the Trump administration. Would also buy time for negotiations over actions by Canada and Mexico to meet Trump's stated goals for the duties. To pressure the United States, your neighbors, blah, blah, blah. The whole point is, basically, we're looking here at, I just have to, my Oklo trade and not going very good. All right, so it's good. So we're breaching 44s on Oklo. I've got my stop in the low 80s. I've taken out the majority of the position on the top there, but we still have a few more out. So this is going to have to hold higher lows. Otherwise, we're gone, and it looks like we're going to be gone here. A bit of a tougher day trading, no question about it. Same thing over here with Rigetti. Took out some on the top, on the move up, back up, but it's right at VWAP again. So let's see if we can get another VWAP bounce over here, possibly head to the high side and take out some in the 70s. Yeah, not a whole lot of continuity. Goodness gracious, good God almighty. I just got stopped out bottom wick on Oklo. But you know what, Joseph, I think this is the right thing to do because it's not able to put any higher highs. I keep trying to catch the bounces, but it's just putting in lower lows and lower highs. So I got to stop giving back money on this one. Rigetti's the one that's holding VWAP, so we'll focus on that one. What do you got, my man?
Yeah, good luck there. We're still sitting in this TSLA, and we're going to hop in some cues. This is what I see here, guys. From an intraday perspective, on that news, you see these massive bottom wick candles with that isolated volume signature there, guys. So let's see if we get this bounce here in SPY. I wanted to trade the Qs. It's not as clean on the Qs as it is on the SPY, slightly above the volume weighted average price, but that's okay. Bouncing right off at 529.15, we're trading at right now, and 529.09 is where that bounce happened. So looking at that, but I think the SPY setup is slightly better. It's just that the Q's significantly cheaper, and you can use TQQ as well too on that, guys. But let's get back to some TSL and see what we got going on with that. Slowly grinding higher. I don't know how much to expect on this because we're up around 5% here on Tesla. So yeah, Los Polios, I don't necessarily have one, and that may not be the best idea, but let's see if we can tap 420 again, and then maybe we'll take the majority of the position off. But that's the game plan right here. So 2880s maybe here on Tesla. I mentioned this before. From a risk to reward standpoint, we're not sitting in the best spot. So our positioning isn't the best here, all right? So keep that in mind. We've already took risk off, so now we need to put our stop to break even, and that's that. Maybe we'll get back into the trade, but I would rather be in this TQQ trade regardless if it works or not, just because of the positioning of it around the volume weighted average price and SPY as well too. So we've tried to test and break that hammer low, but we haven't done it just yet. So if we can continue and slowly start to curl over, I think that we can go and potentially trade around those highs of days or head towards it at least anyways. So, but let's talk a little bit about Apple here, guys. Seems to be the name of the game of this session. Slightly disappointing, looking for some continuation in the trend. So if you've got the short, then congratulations. But let's see if price starts to slowly curl around here, putting in this flat bottom, some lower highs or higher lows there, guys. Sorry. But again, just range bound at this moment. So we're going to need some volume to step in or somewhat of a cover rally to kind of curl back over and then head back towards the volume weighted average price. But in the meantime, we're just going to sit in this TSLL and in some TQQs to see if we can get that move higher. And for the TQQ trade, for a profit target would be around 86.74 or the highs of days, all right? So that's something that I'm going to be looking at, continuing to monitor. If we break that isolated candles lows, then I'm gonna get out of Dodge, reassess the situation, and find something else on the radar.
All right, thank you for that, Joseph. Where's the stop on Rigetti below the $0.50, my man? So we're long on Rigetti 69s, we're showing 62s. It's gonna have to hold the $0.50. As you saw over here, it defended the half, so it's gonna have to defend it, otherwise I want no smoke on this bad boy, so we're gonna keep tabs on that. We're long Meta though at the volume weighted out, well, for a VWAP bounce. So it just took out some there to the high side in 7. Let's layer the orders right now though, see if we can capture some profits on the Zuck train up on this, you know what. It's been good. It's been decent VWAP hold state on Meta, whether that continues to do the same dance, especially because it's in front of 700. Different story, showing me 78s right now on the ask. Where am I waiting here? I'm just waiting in front of the whole dollar, so it's going to have to pop up a little bit more. META, the futures above 21,900. It defend VWAP, so keeping an eye on the future now that we're involved in a MEG name. So back to Rigetti, because we're involved in that one as well. This one's going to have to hold up at these levels over here. We've already moved up the stop. So the stop's going to we're going to have to defend that $0.50. So that's my thinking on Rigetti. We'll see exactly how it all ends up panning out. Not much else for me to talk about except Meta and Rigetti. There's not many in the way of small caps today. Whether small caps or like small cap like stocks are all breaking down below VWAP. None of them have that continuity, that strength that we saw. I'm looking at the Rust. The Rust is not doing that badly. I mean, it's up 0.42. It's definitely underperforming the NASDAQ on the day, which is up 1 1/3. The ES is up 2/3, and the Dow is essentially flat, up 0.08. So, you know, definitely keeping an eye on the Russell to see if there's going to be continuity in the small caps. But yeah, definitely, yeah, not really able to catch the right wind with these bad boys today. So we're in Rigetti right now, looking for a VWAP hold. What's everybody else looking at? Throw in your tickers in the chat. Let me know what you guys are looking at. We'll analyze them for you as we wait to see what these trades do. Still holding Meta, still holding Rigetti, nothing doing here. Look at BBAI. Let's have a look at BBAI. We looked at BBAI yesterday. It was not a bad name yesterday, I don't think. Let's have a look at yesterday's price action. Yeah, yesterday's price action was quite directional. We got more highs today, definitely a lot weaker of a name than it was yesterday. Still up 4.88, almost 5% now. It was definitely at the highs at 4.5. Yeah, look, this one's not really giving you that parabolic effect or anything like that, but it's positive on the day. So if you're holding this for a swing, you're happy. You're up 5% on the day, so it's not a bad look there. We're going to Adair at the big desk.
We're actually going to Michael Noss and myself here. You know, we're going to talk a little bit about China because I know, Michael, you've been looking at some of these China ETFs today, including CQQQ, which I didn't even realize was a ticker. So I guess with that move after the tariffs, what are your kind of thoughts right now? What are you looking at for China?
Yeah, if we zoom in just briefly, and you can see we're getting little spikes around what's happening with FXI, which is the overall ETF. But from a longer term chart, I think the more tariff talk that is at all positive, I think is the better, because China has been priced in as this thing is never going anywhere. They're going to get tariffed into the ground. It's going to be absolutely awful. But I have some charts here that kind of shows that I think if we get any kind of confirmation that there's going to be less tariffs than people thought, or they're going to get delayed even longer, a lot of these charts are kind of set up. So this first one we're actually looking at right now, this is FXI. So this is your large cap guys. It's your Baba, your JD.com, all of these big names. And massive move here we had off of when they did the stimulus. This is a weekly chart, so back quite a while. Putting in this potential round at bottom, right? Buy smiley faces, sell frowny faces, and all of that. In this level, you can see going back, it's $33 a share. It's been resistance and support, resistance, support. We can go over and we can talk a little bit about the CQQQ, and this is the one that you mentioned that you didn't know. But basically, all it is trying to take the regular QQQ and put a C in front of it, and then it has all to do with China. So this pattern is a very interesting one, an inverse head and shoulders type pattern, and I've anchored a VWAP from, I don't know if it's the all-time high, but this major high that we got right here in 2020. So my game plan would be is if we can get back up to that zone, that's where this kind of sentiment shift has come in. So under the hood, just a couple names quickly that are kind of interesting. This is, I'm probably going to butcher this, Xiaomi.
Oh, Xiaomi.
Xiaomi.
I think Sharif pronounces it pretty well. Yeah, I think it's Xiaomi.
Xiaomi. This is the Apple of China,
yes,
I believe is what people, so they sell phones and tablets and things like that. It's a great look. It's an all-time high breakout. You have to get this one on the kind of pink sheets. It's XIACY. That's very interesting. We have TME, which is Tencent Music, which is one of the strongest China names out there. And you can see as I go through all these charts, they've had very strong moves after the stimulus, and then they've just been consolidating really, really tight. So these are very interesting. And then JD.com as well is looking, so a lot of bottoming patterns go on. So my question is, because I was listening while you guys were reading that, they mentioned US and Canada mostly. Is there any talk about China there? Do we think it's going to go expand to that?
He has hinted, Donald Trump hinted last night that there is going to be something with regards to China. He said they're in the process of discussing what that's going to be. But yeah, I think that the China tariffs are the ones that I think people are probably looking forward to, or for lack of a better term, or wanting to hear about the most. But I think they're the ones we've kind of heard the least about as of right now. So that's been my take on tariffs. But I think you're right, when we get something on that could be interesting.
Yeah, and interesting, I was in New York recently, had an interesting chat with Dan Ives, who's a for those who don't know, big tech investor. And he's not a technician, but his fundamental thesis, which I'm starting to agree with, is that everything that we're seeing here, all these charts, when we zoom out, are really, really beaten up. You know, we're sitting right at lows for a lot of these names. So this is kind of priced for failure almost, right? Remember Kava back when everyone thought it was going to go, or Carvana when it was going to go bankrupt. And basically just saying, so I don't think it has to be news comes out that there's not going to be any tariffs, but I think if the world's pricing in 25%, he comes out and he says it's 15 or 10%, this could be the greatest beta play. And a lot of people don't know this. China actually outperformed the S&P 500 last year with that move that happened. Wow. And these prior highs on FXI were at $30 right now. They're sitting at 53 or so. So, to see an ETF and even a country ETF with that potential gain, even just getting back to those highs, I think there's some good beta in China this year.
And I have one really quick question for you too before we throw it back to the Bash brothers over there in the midday. I know your fellow CMT Brian Shannon has expressed a little bit of skepticism, or he says he's kind of not really a China trader. So with that in mind, do you have any specific risk management that you take into mind when you trade these names compared to trading non-Chinese ADRs, I guess?
And that's a really good point. I'm actually glad, because I usually do a caveat, but yeah, there's a couple things with China. First of all, and especially with this whole DeepSeek thing, when I was talking to Dan Ives, he basically said the whole thing of them training this thing off $6 million, he believes there's a less than 0% chance.
Yeah.
So you can't trust a lot of the data that comes out of there. So if you're a fundamental trader, you have to watch that as well. Also, all the trading is going to happen overnight, right? They're going to have their market section, and then we're going to have our market section as well. So what I would do is say, if you are not very comfortable in individual names, you can diversify with going longer out. And the three major ETFs to look at, I think FXI is going to be your large cap. It's probably going to be the safest because it's, again, BABA and all these big names. The CQQQ, which we mentioned, is going to be more speculative tech. And then there's just the famous K-Web. And this is more laser focused, and this is just Chinese internet. So it's going to be kind of a risk spectrum. And I think FXI, if you're really risk averse, I think you can still have exposure there, because even if something dramatic comes out and China gaps down 10% that day, it's still only going to be a 10% move.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for going over that with us, Michael Noss. And with that, we will turn you back to the Bash Brothers in the Midday Show.
Appreciate that. And it's always nice to have the Nos boss on set, man. Always learn a lot. Michael, we always mention what you told us about VWAP and how hedge funds are constantly using it. A lot of the information the Nos boss passes on, we always pass on to you. So it's nice to have him in studio and to get the real deal, Joseph, because, you know, there's only so much you can learn by talking to somebody a couple of times a week, right? Rather than having them in studio, getting to actually chat with them every day and kind of learn how they're thinking, what they're doing, and what their situation's like with their trading and the mental game, because it's such a mental game too. So
I think
it's an interesting look. People are yelling about Riot, though.
Yeah,
Joseph.
Riot.
How's that
Riot.
doing over there?
We'll talk a little bit about Riot here, guys, but slowly just piecing stuff out. If we can pull up my chart on the TQs, getting that bounce, man. What a beautiful signal. I don't know. I talk about them all the time. So there it is. That indecision candle, beautiful print on that. Let's talk a little bit about Riot and see what we got going on. I forget who mentioned in the chat said it was breaking out. And when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, okay, it's not really doing too much. But now the momentum slowly started to kick in here. And we're starting to move to the top side. But still in no man's land, trading within this range here on Riot. But let's pull it up from a daily perspective, an intraday perspective, zoom in here. And here we go. Starting to really, really move to the top side. That momentum kicking in, guys. Holding the volume weighted average price, and here we go. Continuing to climb higher and higher and higher. The break of the high a day, beautiful. Lots of momentum. Excuse me, momentum there in Riot. So I don't know what's going on. Let's take a look at a couple of these other Bitcoin miners here, Sharif, and see what we got going on with Mara. I could probably tell you what that thing's doing without even having to look at it. But let's pull it up here. What are you doing? Yeah, okay, so it's breaking out now, but not nearly as close to the highs of days as Riot is. Momentum starting to pull in here. And what's going on?
Just, you know, some stuff that was said on the interview today or something.
Yeah, okay, anyways. Yeah, but here we go. So breaking through the volume weighted average price and some key support level, resistance levels here, Now going to go and test this pivot and then potentially go and test that high of day on Mara. With these Bitcoin miners moving, what does that have to do with IBIT, or how is it trading per se? And not doing too much. So I'm curious to what's up with that. Usually they move in conjunction together there, Sharif, but it doesn't seem to be the case right now.
Finally, Joseph.
You got something rolling here?
Whew. Damn, bro.
Dang, bro.
What the hell's going on today? I was just like, nothing was just working, dude. Every time I get into something, it's like,
how's that meta going there?
Well, you know what? We're in Rigetti.
Okay.
And the palms aren't sweaty.
All right.
Because we're taking it to the high side, 20 banger right now, 25 banger. Now we're looking for that 14 break and take. I got shares on this one, so get it, Katina, man. So we're looking for a 14 break and take because we've been ranging between 13.50 and 14 since we broke down below 14 at 10:30. So we're 2 hours now within this range. Goodness gracious. That's a long time to be in a range. So looking for this one to take out the top now, waiting at that $14. We're front running it there in the mid 90s, but we're going to throw some orders up there as well. Let's throw some orders in front of the whole dollar, and then we'll put some on the north side of the whole dollar as well in case, you know, we wick up there and get something printed around there. So keeping an eye out on that. Got stopped at a meta. though for the last remaining amount, I had taken out 2 of 3 outs, got stopped out for the remaining amount there on META. So it gives up VWAP and it makes a newer low. So I tried to place my Meta stop below the previous area low. Doesn't work. Meta giving back now. Lower high, lower high, lower high, and then we're continuing to make lower high here on META, despite the fact that the NASDAQ is a lot closer to the highs than it is anywhere near VWAP or the lows, in fact. So doesn't matter. There seems to be a disconnect right now between Meta and the future, and that's fine. They're not the same thing, so why should they be trading the same? Sometimes there's an overlap. So we're in Rigetti. It's the only trade that we've got positive on right now with $14 acting as a resistance level, multiple outs so far, but we're definitely holding way more size. Yeah, I got lots more out over here, so we can even wet our beak over here just for the hell of it. But I am waiting now for the $9 A. TCM is holding at VWAP. So this is an interesting one. TCTM, excuse me. TCTM, it's holding at the volume weighted average price. This is kind of what I want to see with multiple holds of VWAP there. We're going to get into this one. And now we're going to look for a curling effect. So we're long at 83s. Let's see if this one wants to work back into that whole dollar. It's defended the volume weighted average price quite well. So we'll see if this one wants to give us something positive in small cap gapper world, because Rigetti doesn't count as a small cap gapper. It's definitely not a small capper. We'll talk more about that when we get back from a Derek at the big desk.
Continuing to read here about this tariff situation. So this is, again, the report here basically is that these tariffs are unlikely to start until March 1st, and that apparently some countries will be able to get exemptions. The one thing I'm seeing though just now coming through that is from the same article but wasn't in those initial headlines is that apparently Trump is likely to announce a process that will allow countries to seek exemptions for certain imports. So with that in mind, it might not be the entire country getting hit. It might only be aspects. So apparently still the exemptions are going to be, quote, few and far between. So that might not be that much of a win, but it's something to be aware of. Oil here on watch too, because we know BOIL and USO, I think especially USO, had quite the reaction when those tariffs were initially announced and signed in by Donald Trump yesterday. So be aware here of oil and any vehicle or import related names there, guys. Back to you.
MTSR, guys, new IPO just opened. We're 1 minute, or we're 10 minutes deep. So let's flip to the one Katina, man, so we can see exactly when it opened up at. So opened up at exactly 12:34. We're 3 minutes deep. Here we are, 27.50 high. It looks like it opened up at 26 and change. I don't know what this company is because biotech, the Katina man says. So I have no information on it other than the amount of volume it's done on the day, Joseph. About 683,000 shares. Peptides, yeah, proteins.
Yeah, so they're working on peptides to treat obesity.
They're working on peptides to treat obesity and related conditions. I like that, Katina man. That's a noble cause. Well, we're going to champion that cause. It's breaking out, though, Katina man. 28.87 HOD. The spread is wide, Adara, on MTSR. Listener response. No, seriously, though, guys. So we're going to throw that on there. A new IPO. I think this is the second one this week, Joseph, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
all of a sudden, Donald Trump's back in office, and we're getting IPOs.
IPO, M&A, yeah, I know. That was kind of the ideal play in there. I think that those were going to start to pick up. You'd see more IPOs because it's been extremely quiet on that list. There's a couple big ones potentially coming up, like Discord, I believe is going to. Yeah, that would be really cool.
That's going to be a monster.
Yeah.
Joseph,
I think it's in the. Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to tell them, Escape Planet. There it is. MTSR. Sorry to interrupt you.
No. That's all I had. Really was. That's the only one I know that's potentially coming.
Fair enough. It's good enough.
Is Discord, but I mean, hey, we've seen what happened with Reddit. Really strong.
What happened?
Well, it's trading higher now. I'm pretty sure it's somewhere around those all-time highs. But it did sell off, I'm pretty sure, after the IPO. But, I mean, Discord, I think that's going to be an interesting one. Maybe we'll look to get involved in that as well, too, because a lot of people use Discord. I think it's a great platform, to be honest with you, to connect with peers around wherever they may be. That's how I talked to my guy, Greg V, over in
hey, that's nice.
Connecticut there. But, yeah, guys.
He's in Connecticut, eh?
Yeah, he's over there. He's on the
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. The
Boston.
The Boston fans there. We don't know about those guys. But yeah, Apple here, guys. Let's take a look at Apple and see what we got going on. Still at the bottom of the at the lows of the day here. Let's see if we can break through this consolidation phase. Slowly starting to curl over. The only way I'm going to look to get involved in this here again is if we can catch the bottom of the range. And as of right now, now we're at the top of it, so I don't want to go mid-range. Let's see if we can get back into this around 238.80s and then maybe get somewhat of a bounce here because we are range bound. So top VIP, let's go short Tesla and make money both ways. Nice trade long earlier, bro. I appreciate you. You're shorting Tesla right now. Let's take a look at Tesla one more time.
One more
time. Daft Punk.
Yeah, boy.
Those were good times. But yeah, here we go. I think this isn't a horrible spot to short it either, top VIP, because you are at a high day and now we're just slowly grinding higher. That momentum to the downside, I would like to see some volume step in order for me to do that and break through some key support levels. So again, might be a little bit of a slow burner. Also a really strong stock today as well too. So something that I necessarily wouldn't be looking to short unless those definitive signals really came into play. But as of right now, slow turnaround, still bullish on this thing. Let's see what Apple does. Let's see what the TQQ does. And this guy's yesing over there. Whoa. You got a face slapper over there, man.
Joseph, I mean, we're still negative on the day, but bro, it feels good to finally get a dub. My goodness gracious. Go Rigetti. Rigetti, are the knees heavy? Are your palms sweaty? I hope not. I don't want to shake your hand if your palms are sweaty. My cousin always sweats from his hands, bro, and I tell him, wash your hands or dry your hands before shaking my dang hand. I'm sick of having your nasty sweat all over me every time I shake your hand. All right, so 14.10 right now. We're waiting on the next out there. We're long 64s on Rigetti. Good move up through 14. 14 has been a resistance level essentially all morning, Katina, man, since we dropped below that 1030. There it is, the 14.10, and bang! We'll take out that. Now we're going to wait at 15s, Joseph. Let's see if this one wants to take out that level. We're also involved in another winner right now. It goes by the ticker TCTM. A couple of outs on this bad boy, but it's having trouble with nines. But as the spiled one would say, this looks like it's rounded bottoming. How do I know that? Well, it flattened out at VWAP. It's putting incrementally higher lows and higher highs, but I do see a whole bunch of resistance from 1135 till 1155, right around that low 90s area. That poses a problem. I'm talking about this area over here. Let's see if we can squeeze. Here we go with 90s and change. I'm waiting at 91s, and then obviously we have 4 decimal places to take up on this bad boy. That's why a lot of algos don't trade these south of $1. So we'll see if this one wants to squeeze above that dollar, above 90 pennies. We're gonna have to get above 90 pennies before we can talk about that dollar, but we're hanging out at that 90 pennies with higher lows. So that means the buyers are picking this up at higher levels on every incremental move down. Let's see if that means anything. We're up 400%, 391%, so it should be on a lot of people's radars, right? You think if people were looking at their scanners, they're looking at these top winners. We'll see if we can get something to the high side over here. Back to Rigetti. We're still zigging and zagging at 14.10. I'm waiting at 15s. We got decent size up on this one. We're going to look to take some more profits above that level, so let's go and throw out some orders. 15s there. We're going to put it next at 20s, increments of 5 pennies. Why not? We're dealing with a $14 name. I want to look back at Oklo. I think I'm cruising for a bruise in here, though, if I get back into this one. The only reason I'm even looking at Oklo at these levels is because it's at VWAP. It's up, I believe, only 3 1/3 right now on the day. OKLO trades on the NYSE. Here we go. So Oklo, a loser for me on the day, but it is coming into that 43 1/5. Between 43 to 43 1/5. But guess what? We still don't have a change in trend. So throwing out an order at VWAP at this level is not the right thing for me since I'm negative on it. I clearly have not had the right read on it today. You just got to admit that to yourself. So what I need here is proof that VWAP is actually going to act as a support level and not just another line on the chart that gets breached. So by definition, obviously, you're going to have to wait until it closes, defends that area before getting in. When you do that, you don't have the best price because you're foregoing getting in at the best price to wait for confirmation. So that's the trade-off there, okay? So I'm waiting right now to see what the situation is on OKLO. I could absolutely be persuaded to get back in here. It's a good technical level that sometimes we can bounce off, but I'm going to need proof. I need higher highs and higher lows. We haven't gotten that at all. Since that 45.23 high of the day, it has been strictly lower lows and lower highs. I don't want that smoke. It's not for me. I'm going to need confirmation. So that's what I'm looking at right now, Joseph. What do you got?
Hey, good look there. Guys, I just want to mention it's 12:43, and we only have 610 votes on the Playmaker. We should easily be closer to 1,000 now, guys. So do us a favor, get those votes in. Please and thank you on the Playmaker poll. Let's see what we got going on. It is most likely a landslide. But, I mean, if those short votes start to come in, then who knows, we can tighten that race up here in the Playmaker poll. So, guys, come on, please, and thank you very much. Also, like and subscribe to the channel, guys. But those Playmaker polls, let's get those votes in, man. Let's get the everybody involved here, and there you can voice your opinion on certain things.
Okay.
But let's see what else we got going on, guys. Joe, are you adding to VIX before Monday's tariffs? No, we were just going over that. It has now been prolonged until March. So, and he's going to reassess the situation, it seems to be the case. So, I don't think any VIX plays are going to be the thing just yet. But let's take a look at the VIX here real quick.
What's the situation?
I'm assuming that we're trading higher today, Sharif. So the VIX is most likely going to be down here. And yeah, there we go. So 5-minute inverse correlation, doing essentially bubkis, as Sharif would like to say, on the day. So,
My man.
Yeah. Here we go. Selling off. So as the market appreciates, the VIX declines. Let's take a look at it from a daily perspective and see what we got going on. So we did have a little bit of that. We had a spike here. I forget what the news was here. Oh, I think this was the pause, maybe. Or no, that was a couple days ago. Actually, it was on Wednesday. Actually, so no, that's not the pause. It's something else where the VIX spiked. But again, selling off here, man. I've really got to start getting involved in buying some puts on this thing, especially in high spike, Sharif, because look what it does. It just reverts back to the mean here. So, yeah, we got to come up with something along those lines and see what we can get doing with the VIX, because I think it's a great tool to use, especially with that one statistic that I told you before, and it did play out in the overall market. So when the VIX spikes over 80% in a session, within the coming months, the market makes a new all-time highs, and that's what the SPY did. It made a new all-time high shortly after, even though we had some bad news in between. It rebounded extremely quick, so that's something I'm going to be looking into. No, dude, what? Dude, officially, dude, what? What's going on, brother? You tell me. What are you thinking? Because I know that sounds like a light bulb moment, the way you just mentioned something. So let me know what you are thinking there officially, and we'll talk about it, because I know it's definitely options related. So interesting I'll be looking forward to having that conversation with you, because it sounds like you have some good ideas. But here we are in some TSLA, actually no, TQQ, sorry guys, holding on to this one. Let's see if we can bounce a little bit more. If we come back to the break even, we're gonna get out of dodge, because we failed to break the high of day here. So forming a lower high, which isn't the best here, but that's okay. We'll hold on until otherwise, because I think this market may put in another leg, but it is also Friday too, Sharif.
It's Friday again.
It's Saturday, Sunday.
It's Friday again. Yeah, it is Friday. You up to anything this weekend?
No, just the in-laws coming over, yeah, and in the gym playing.
In-laws, like as in the girlfriend's parents?
Yeah,
okay.
They're not married.
I was like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, just call them that, I guess.
Yeah,
out of respect.
Fair.
So,
yeah, that's respectful.
yeah, so that, and then just hockey this evening over at the McCormick's Arena.
Hold on, you had hockey yesterday.
Yeah, we got smoked, man.
Got smoked?
Yeah, 4-1.
Eek.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
Can't win them all, baby.
Dampers the mood, though.
Who's
you
the team?
Win. I don't even remember their name, to be honest with you. But that's a game that we shouldn't have lost. Our goalie just came back from vacation, so he wasn't fully dialed in either. So it is what it is. I didn't play the best either, which is totally fine. But yeah, there's always another.
You win some, you lose some, baby.
Exactly,
but
so.
You got in the session though. Obviously, you put in work.
Put in work as
there
always.
You go.
So, but we got hockey tonight, and then we'll hit the gym.
You're doing 2 days in a row?
Yeah, man, we play, man.
Okay.
We're out here in the ice. They need your boy out there. Yeah,
I feel you.
They need me out there, man.
I like it, Joseph. All right, here's the deal, boys and girls, and ladies and gentlemen. We just took out some at 20s. Now we're waiting at 24s. I'm talking about Rigetti. My knees are not heavy anymore on this one, because we're well away from my entry. 13.65. Now we're doing the dance with absolutely no underwear or pants at 14.20. We're having trouble taking that level out. The level that I'm keeping my eye on, though, is that HOD, 14.46. I expect some trouble in and around that level, obviously, because that is a high of the day. So we're going to keep tabs on this bad boy right now. I'm talking about RGTI. I'm still cruising for a bruising, though, on OKLO. Let me tell you, it keeps calling my name, bouncing off VWAP, but not putting in higher highs and higher lows. So I don't want to get back in here and give back more money. I need to see a trend change. And again, waiting means I get a worse price. I get that. I get all that, but I'm negative on it, and I don't want to go more negative on it right now. So I tried to catch bottoms multiple times into the 10, into the 20, exponential on the 5. Nothing worked. Even price action support didn't work. So I'm going to need something above 44. Otherwise, we don't get involved. That's the area crest that I see. If we make a high above that 44, in my humble estimation, that is a change in trend. And that will get me in. On a closing basis, I don't want to see a wick above 44 and then have this one pull back. Let's see if it can close above that 44 print. We'll weasel back into OKLO. It's a good area at the volume weighted average price. So that's the situation. TCTM, we're also involved in that one. Over here. And it's now we've got a flat top breakout right now, possibly on 90 pennies. There is a seller of note that has been keeping this bad boy below generally 90 pennies. Now, it's not strictly 90 pennies because we're dealing with a sub $1 name. So we got those 4 decimal places. So we'll get into like that 91, that 92, but it keeps rejecting that general 90 penny area. The other side of that, though, is higher lows. So you feel we're accumulating for flat top break. If that is the case, layer your orders because sometimes it spikes through that level and then comes all the way back down. You want to be on the receiving end of fill orders in that situation where it spikes. So throw out resting orders like I'm doing right now, and maybe we'll get a print when we get back from Adara at the big desk.
We have Apple here, AAPL, which is actually consolidating near day's lows right now. And we have a comment here from UBS, of course, an analyst here, saying that they actually don't think the new iPhone SE model is likely to boost the company's sales. They said that the muted demand for iPhones during Q4 2024 was not super surprising to them. But they said that was also interesting. There wasn't a lot of commentary around the iPhone as a whole during the call, which they found pretty interesting. And so they said that the outlook that Apple gave implies, quote, flattish growth in a quarter that should benefit from a new product launch. So not super bullish here on iPhone SE, just to kind of summarize that note, again, coming from UBS, guys.
So since we brought this whole thing, it's time to do the work. So I listened to the call, obviously, yesterday, and I have detailed notes on the call. So we're going to get into those now. Just allow me an opportunity to load up my email and load this bad boy up. There we go. So with respect to the iPhone, what was asked specifically was, does artificial intelligence or AI or Apple Intelligence move the needle? And in markets where Apple Intelligence is available, which is very few, they're only English-speaking markets where Apple Intelligence is available, iPhone sales went up. I'm talking about the 16 relative to what? Relative to the 15. In jurisdictions where English is not the first language, case in point, China, iPhone sales are doing badly. Now, is there a fix for that? Sure, in the intermediate term. What does that mean? April, we're going to get a mild Apple Intelligence release in China. However, the full Apple Intelligence release will not be released in China until they have a local Chinese partner. That is an insistence of the government there. Why? Obviously, we have security issues, cultural issues that China has waxed poetic about in the past. So we're going to have to wait to see, number one, who they choose. And number two, how that ends up panning out. Do we get the same type of application for artificial or Apple Intelligence in Mandarin as we do in English? I submit to you that's a harder feat than you may think. It's not just the same thing. Language is obviously very nuanced. And so the things that may activate and do well in English, maybe not necessarily in Mandarin. So very interesting with respect to that, but they had the data kind of to protect them there. Now let's look at some more stuff. You can come to my screen if you'd like. So Tim Cook highlighted record breaking, obviously revenue. We're talking about triple digits now in the billions as opposed to double digits. This is very Amazon-esque, $124 billion in Q1. We're also talking about record EPS Apple Intelligence was emphasized as a transformative feature, now available across iPhone, iPad, obviously, and other on MacBooks as well. Cook, that is, announced upcoming expansions to more languages and regions starting in April 2025. China going to be one of those as well. We know that iPhone sales missed 69.1 billion versus the 71 that was expected, 71 and change. Mac revenue surged substantially, 16% year over year, up to 9 billion, driven obviously by that new M4 processor that everybody's very happy about. Services revenue, we're talking about $100 billion a year in revenue now from services with a gross margin of around 82%. You can do the math there. That grew 14% year over year, and they're looking for low double-digit growth when it comes to services in the next quarter. We're also talking about gross margins, record gross margins for Apple, 46.9% for a company that has physical products. Physical products equal lesser gross margins. You don't get the type of gross margins that you get in SaaS and software and stuff like that. Now, the outlook. Apple rarely guides, and when they do, they're quite conservative in their guide. So they're guiding Q2 2025 total revenue growth to mid to low single digits, projecting about 2.5% headwind, though, from foreign exchange. So the strength of the U.S. dollar going to be a bit of a headwind for them. We need to really account for that because that's going to be about a 2.5% hit to revenue. So that's a bit of a problem there. Services revenue, as I mentioned, expected to grow in the low double digits. Gross margins, something that I always keep my eye on for Q2 of 2025, expected to be between 46.5 to 47. Keep in mind, they just made a record with 46.9. So now they're guiding potentially at the high end, another record. Cook confirmed as well in April that, what's over here? Where am I looking? In April rollout, okay, we already know about the Apple Intelligence. Let's go over here. Now, this was interesting. Now we got the questions from the analyst. And it's really interesting to see what the questions are from the analyst because you can kind of gauge analyst sentiment based upon the tone of the question. So Eric Woodring from Morgan Stanley asked about the influence of Apple Intelligence on iPhone demand. This is where Tim Cook responded and said that markets with Apple Intelligence showed stronger performance for the 16 models, especially features like writing tools and Genmoji. The guy from Melius questioned potential benefits from cost reductions due to DeepSeek developments. Cook emphasized that Apple's hybrid model for silicon would take advantage of less demanding language models like the one by DeepSeek. And then the Evercore analyst inquired about emerging markets. Cook highlighted double-digit growth in India, which we know is a monster market, but the caveat with India is you want to sell in India, you're going to have to build in India, which we already know Apple's doing. Likewise with Foxconn, their biggest supplier, opening up plants in India. The Bank of America analyst asked him about channel inventory levels in China, and Cook explained that the inventory reductions accounted for over half the revenue decline. And basically what happened here was they gauged China sentiment, China demand, I should say, for the iPhone too strongly, and they paid the price for that by overbuilding. And so that they're going to do, it looks like they're going to underproduce next time. So the sentiment analysis here was positive in tone with questions focused on the future demand for Apple Intelligence, as well as the revenue growth, and most notably, though, the emerging markets and the gross margins that come with those emerging markets. So that is kind of the look there. The risk and the concerns, of course, management did cite the foreign exchange headwinds, as we talked about. They're looking at about a 2.5% hit to revenue because of the strong U.S. dollar. Analysts did question the sustainability of growth in China because of other cheaper handsets. And the Chinese consumer seems to be very interested all of a sudden in local brands. Well, how did they do that? Because they're able to make these 5G chips despite the fact that there are export embargoes for those 5G chips that have been in place since Donald Trump's first term. Obviously, there's been a lot of time since that time for them to be able to outmaneuver those headwinds, let's call them that. And then the staggered rollout of Apple Intelligence as well being cited here as a bit of a concern because you're not really getting the full adoption. The consumer is not able to see what kind of a full product they can possibly have with this staggered rollout. So a bit of a tougher look when it comes to that. So those are the risks risks and the concerns. Quarter-over-quarter comparison, not bad. Revenue grew from $94.9 billion in Q4 of 2024 to a $124.3 billion, but that's not a fair comp because we're talking about the Christmas season for that Q4. So obviously, usually a little bit higher sales in the Christmas season. Services revenue, that's what I really want to see. They're expecting that grew, 12 to 14% quarter over quarter, with gross margins, as we mentioned already, increasing from 46.2 to a record 46.9. So not all just bad, but stuff to be concerned about. You have to be concerned about the rollout of Apple Intelligence in foreign languages. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have the same adoption. Joseph.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. Good luck on that, Sharif. This guy always does. You do some intense due diligence.
Oh yeah.
Usually in the morning and stuff. Well, I guess that it fascinates you, right? So you enjoy doing it. So. I was listening to Kramer last night as well too. That's one thing I do when I eat my meals. I just throw on some Mad Money.
That's why I didn't want to get into it, because I had all that.
You had all this stuff. Yeah, exactly. It's way better than me being like, hey man, iPhones are sales down whatever percent in China and whatever. That's more detailed and appreciated. So yeah, man. And that's one thing I like. This is how I think about it.
Yes, sir.
Word of mouth can spread like wildfire. And if this Apple Intelligence was really like groundbreaking and you needed to get the iPhone 16, then you would know immediately. People would be like, oh, we need to get our hands on this thing. But again, the rollout has been slightly slower. But one thing that I found interesting was that they are spending significantly less amount of money compared to the other hyperscalers, as you like to refer them to.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I think that's interesting. I do think that it's better. People are already saying just wait for the super cycle to come for the 17, but I'm like, that's not till 26, I'm pretty sure. So I think that people are still going to get involved, especially if Apple, a little bit more of a slow grind, but if they get it right, then they're going to be at the top of the class again. So yeah, that's my opinion on Apple.
Yes, sir. We got to go to Adara though.
Okay, yeah, I didn't get that one there. We're going to send it off to Adara.
Yep.
Thank you so much there for that technical, or that, I guess, fundamental analysis of Apple there, Sharif. And I mean, we talked about this yesterday as well. I made this graphic for TTV Research with regards to Apple's pretty sharp drop in market share in China by Q4 2024 versus Q4 2023, especially when you see all of these other major brands, including Xiaomi that Michael mentioned earlier, significantly gaining market share during that period. But I know, Michael, you were inspired by that fundamental talk, and you had some technical stuff you wanted to mention on Apple.
Yeah, as always, right? That was a great breakdown. But when people are talking fundamental stuff, as a technician, I like to go look at the chart. So I've got a daily chart here on Apple, and this is kind of the obvious level that I think everyone, CMT or not, is going to look at, and that's 235 or so. Held as resistance back here, broke as support, came back down, holding again as support, but we take a look at the 15-minute chart, right? And inspired by Brian Shannon. I see you always keep his book up here, which is awesome. This is that big gap down and reversal day that we had. And this orange line is the anchored VWAP from that price. So the reason this would be important is if a large institution is trying to fill a buy order on Apple, they would anchor it to that price where we had that big volume spike. And I've highlighted with a couple boxes here, ever since that day, every time we come down to that price, we seem to hold as support, and we have these big rallies off it. And this is showing me, again, there is some sort of institution buy system that's taking place at Apple, or just taking shots at Apple every time we get down to that price. So we're looking kind of weak here. That's sitting around 235.87, so might be an area to watch for potential day trade bounce if we get there later in the day, or something that I'm a little bit more interested in, potentially taking a swing trade. Because look at what happened last time we got there after earnings. We had a massive push higher. So if we're going to get that grind back down to that price, that's something I'm going to keep an eye on.
Yeah, thank you so much for going over that, Michael. And I think it's also really timely given the fact that we did have, of course, this breakdown in Apple. But with that in mind, now that we've talked about some of this longer term and technical analysis, we're going to go back there to the guys. I think it breaks up. It
is now 1 o'clock.
What do you got?
You know what time that is. We're going to get involved in the Playmaker poll here, guys. I'm going to pull up SPY as well, too. SPY, and then we'll build off of those metrics there. Just some small size. Let's see what we got cooking up here. Okay, here we go. Now we're rolling. Let's see what we got. So we're in 609.02. We'll pull this up here, collect some more data, take a look at the equity curve, and see what we got going on. Still positive. This thing has been buzzing. So let's see if we can get the ball rolling again. It's not looking too good right now because we are kind of hovering just above the volume-weighted average price with the inability to construct a new high of day. So forming that lower high on the session. But I still have some confidence here, guys, with those indecision candles printed right at the volume-weighted average price. And now we know that Trump is prolonging his tariffs until March and maybe reassessing the situation. But here we go. Trade number 36. We are in at 609.02. 609.02. Now look how much data it is there. Now I'm gonna have to rearrange this because now I can't see everything. So 608.02 is going to be our stop. 608.02. And then our profit target is going to be 611.02. Bang. And there we go. Let's see how this one works out, guys. 100 shares. Bang, and then we're going to monitor this and see how everything is going. So there's the equity curve on the Playmaker. Everybody voted long today. Let's get those votes in still before we switch it up to the latter half of the afternoon rundown with Sharif. And once we submit those tickers, you can no longer vote on the Playmakers. So get those votes in and yeah, participate, guys. That's what we need. Missing out Kyle today because we know what he would have voted today would have been short. So that's like one day we'll go short. There will be that day, but today is not that one. So Benson in the chat says, that being said, speaking to some quants, they're all very secretive for good reason. So I would understand if they didn't be cool. Yeah, so we're just talking about algos. He's doing some back testing on some things, on some options trades, Benson in the chat. So yeah, good luck there. Enjoy talking that. He said he was trading some VIX and him and his friend as well too. So yeah, interesting conversations. And that's what I like about the chat. There's just so many different perspectives and the way people trade, it varies from every specific individual. So yeah, very interesting. You learn a lot from these guys. So guys, keep being, just keep chiming in the chat. Display what you guys are trading. Talk about your styles of trading as well too, and what kind of entities you'd like to trade. What are your vehicles? What are your favorite stocks to trade or sectors in general, etc. Yeah, well, no, I shouldn't, because it came back to my break even. I can pull up TSLL. Whoa, what's up with that? Yeah, why did that do that? Yeah, I know I should have, but here it is. Like, see, there's my break even, so I couldn't stay in it. Had to punch out break even, but it's now slowly grinding higher. It still didn't breach that high, this peak here, so no reason for me to be in this right now. It's really extended, but the market is trading higher. Well, not higher, but it is starting to slowly climb back towards those highs. If it breaks the highs, then maybe Tesla will join it too. But I mean, we put in somewhat of a hefty day already, over 5% on the session. So that's Tesla on that front. And then Forex AU, my guy. I haven't seen you in a minute, man. What have you been doing? Let me know in the chat. Good to see you back here, my friend.
All right, Joseph. Rigetti, did it take out the high of the day? Not quite, but I think it might. Oh, that rhymes. 1448, this last candle right there, that's the high. The high of the day, oh, hold on. That is the high of the day. Excuse me, we just made the high of the day on Rigetti. Correction. So 1448 HOD, didn't take anything out there. We took it out at the third of a dollar. I only have one out left. So I'm just going to let this one cook. If it wants to break down, go back to 14, fine. But otherwise, I'm going to wait for that 14.5 break and take. So good moves right now on Rigetti. We took multiple prints as well on your boy Oklo. Negative still on this one. Looking to do a little bit better. Where are we long? We're long at 90s. Took out the print there at 20s. Now I'm waiting at 30s. It's putting in higher lows and higher highs. It was a nice VWAP bounce. Again, I know that I don't have the best price because I waited for confirmation. That is the affliction you are going to suffer when you do wait for price action confirmation and not to get it off the technical level as a dip. And I couldn't do that this time because I was negative on it and I didn't want to keep bleeding. So I had to wait for that confirmation. Again, by definition, you're not going to get a good of a price. But here we go. OKLO coming back into that 20 penny area. I'm waiting at 30. 22's now showing up. 24's now Katina Man. We're waiting at that 30 penny area on OKLO. It's changed its tune, baby. And by that, I mean, we're putting in higher lows and higher highs. That was certainly not the case when I kept punching into this forsaken stock on the way down. That was very frustrating to me, okay? Now, the only thing that I can say I did good there was I stuck to my stops, right? So that's the only thing I'll give myself a pat on the back for. Otherwise, everything was wrong. All right, so that's my look right now on OKLO. We're waiting for that 30 print come what may. Let's move back into the other trade that we've had on for a hot minute now that apparently was rounded bottoming, but no longer is. I'm talking about TCTM. What I do like about this trade is it's still well above the volume weighted average price. The other side of that, though, is now you're able to see the lower highs. Before, it was one peak and then a consolidation. Now I'm seeing that 90 penny area act as resistance. So guess what? The stop got moved up from 70 pennies and it's now at 75. So we're gonna not give nearly as much back. Now we've got some outs over here, still holding the majority of the position though, full disclosure, on TCTM. So that's the situation right now I find myself in as OKLO comes back into 144s. But here we go with Rigetti, looking at taking out those highs, 43 again. I'm just gonna wait at 55. So we're gonna end this bad boy at that 55 penny area, and we'll see what the situation is. Also, ASTIS, ASTS, curling back above the volume weighted average price. By the way, what you're seeing right there, that's the IPO. So this is an IPO right now, MTSR, popped up all the way into 28.87, back down into 25.90 now. So the volume is really dropping off too. So not a lot of participation in this name. Let's go to ASTIS though and flip to the 5. This is what I'm seeing right now. So look like a head and shoulders pattern that broke down below VWAP for whatever reason, found support at that 2050 area. Now we're knocking on the door of 21 and a quarter. Now that 21 and a quarter is important. And I'll tell you guys why. We used it as support and then as resistance. So we were using it as support over here, and then when we dropped, we started using it as resistance. This one could be an interesting long above that 21 and a quarter. I didn't respect VWAP, which is why I didn't want to get into this one, because there was no like level to say, you know, I'm clearly wrong at that level. So here's what I'm looking for on ASTIS. We're about to break that 21 and a quarter right now as we speak. So that level could be coming in momentarily. That level to me is the level that I like because we used it as resistance before. We will see with that one, though, Joseph, when we get back from Adara at the big desk.
I am really excited here to present our newest TTV research infographic. I had a lot of fun with this one. So I know yesterday we did a little bit here with Pat Gelsinger and his reign at Intel, tracking every earnings report during his short period as CEO. But then that kind of inspired me. How have a lot of these stocks been doing since the CEO switched ups, especially because 2024 was a massive year, historically a massive year in terms of the number of CEOs from high-profile companies that got a little bit shaken up here. So I want to explain my method for this. So what I did was I tracked the opening price from the day that the CEO exiting was announced and then ended with the closing price from yesterday. That's how I got these numbers. And again, I also want to clarify, I tracked this from the date of the exit and not the date the new CEO was announced, because for a lot of these, there was a little bit of a break in between those announcements. So Boeing here down about 11% since they announced Dave Calhoun's exit, of course, replaced by Kelly Ortberg. Then Peloton, shockingly, actually up the most of all of these. Peloton up 125% since the announcement here of Barry McCarthy leaving as CEO. Peter Stern was recently announced as his replacement. Then Laxman leaving Starbucks was the second largest increase here. Of course, Brian Nickel, superstar CEO of CMG. This one's now up 21%. And then Estee Lauder, Nike, and Intel also the downside here after those exits. With Intel, too, I want to note, they don't actually have a new CEO yet. It's just interim CEOs, Michelle Johnston Holthouse and David Zinsner. The other thing I want to note as well is, of course, we don't know exactly if the CEO is leaving or coming has anything to do with the stock price, with the exception of Starbucks. There was a noted increase. But I just wanted to contextualize it because I think it's interesting to think about, especially given how many CEO changes we had this year, because this isn't everything. Macy's got a new CEO. Koss had a new CEO, or Kohl's, sorry, had a new CEO as well. And then we also had some switch ups in Stellantis. So these are just a couple that I thought were of note. You can check this out on X at TTV Research. Back to you.
Yeah, fantastic job as always on those, Adara. Yeah, that one was really interesting. I really like that one. I really like that one there, Adara. So good work as usual. So go and check out Trader TV Research on X, guys, and you can find a lot of these infographics Adara's been working on. So good job, fantastic, love those. And I guess for people who have different learning styles as well too, there you go. You can take a look at some of these pictures and graphs that she's created. So really good work there, Adara. Let's talk about Amazon. We know that we're at all-time highs on this one. Breaking through this wedge here. Let's see if the volume stepped in. It really did step in here on that 5-minute time frame. Now slowly pulling back. If we test these levels and hold and bounce, then maybe we can continue to the top side. But as of right now, I think it's Apple that has been somewhat raining on the parade for today's session. Took over #1 spot once again for largest company on the planet by market cap. So yeah, there's Apple. Oops, sorry, let's pull it up here and see if we are continuing to slowly bleed here in Apple. Yeah, and it seems to be the case. So nice consolidation phase. We didn't break higher. We didn't get that curl over. We had those key support levels being breached, and now heading to the downside is Apple continuing the bleed from earlier this morning. If we want to take a look at the 5-minute opening drive here, we didn't look back. A test of VWAP and then just continued to the southeast here with that momentum to the downside. So that is AAPL giving back the majority of its gains yesterday. When it sold off on the report, I'm like, oh no, I was thinking about you, Sharif. I'm like, but then a couple minutes later it rebounded and I'm like, congratulations, my guy, on that one. But unfortunately giving back a lot of those gains. Here's the pre-market price action. I was looking for a continuation in the trade. It was my #1 trade idea, but I took one stab. We didn't get that turnaround quick enough after that momentum and that weakness was displayed in the first 15 minutes. Usually after that, you're not going to get those hefty pushes through the volume-weighted average price after that. So that's something that I keep in mind and collect data on as well too in my notes. So IBIT and Apple were my #1 ideas as well. I had Tesla as a tertiary kind of idea, but I didn't really stick with it. Unfortunately, it was one of the stronger stocks earlier in the session, so that's okay. IBIT was strong not too long out of the gate as well too, so that worked out. Happy with that one. But as of right now, Palantir seems to be the belle of the ball, I guess, right now, because it's continuing to hold up these highs of days. Trading at an all-time high as well too, Sharif, around 84.96. Yeah, so I know Katina Mint's having a good time with this.
All right, so there it is. Neil put it in the chat, and he was absolutely right. There was a monster seller at 14.50 on Rigetti. There it is. We take out the top there on Rigetti. I'm still holding the piece. I lied. All right, so almost $1 in the money, real close here to Rigetti.
Hit the dollar.
Yeah, almost, Joseph. We don't want to curse it, man.
No.
All right, so Rigetti taking out 14.5. Now I'm going to wait to see exactly if we can get maybe into that $0.75 area. Rigetti, great bounce off the volume weighted average price, no doubt about it. We'll see if it can hold the $0.50. Had a lot of trouble. There was a lot of size on the $0.50 there. I think, I don't know what Neil saw. I saw several thousand lots. Neil says at a minimum. I'll be able to talk. A minimum 250,000 shares that were hanging out there at that $0.50. So yeah, you can do the math there. Up 18%. We'll see what this one wants to do. OKLO though, come on, man. We took out the majority of this position, but now it's dancing with 14. I've moved up my stop. There's no way I'm going to give this that much room, so we take it out there at 82s. So we'll lose 5 pennies on the last little amount there on OKLO. Not going to dance with this one as it comes right back down. Having trouble with 44s, excuse me. But here's the deal. I'm going to set up the same area on VWAP. It's shown you its propensity to get VWAP bounces. So right now, 43.25 is where I see VWAP on OKLO. It's bounced off VWAP before. Maybe we can get another anemic bounce off that level. So I'm going to set up a dip trade at the $0.33. So we'll go ahead and sit there at the $0.33 on OKLO. And we'll sit at 35s, actually. It's not quite at that $0.33. So we'll keep tabs on that. TCTM doing nothing. We're 1 penny out of the money on that one. It's not really moving with any vigor. It's putting in lower highs. I've moved up my stop to below 75 pennies on this one, so not really interested in adding at this level either, but the volume weighted average price on TCTM at around 72.5-ish pennies. So this one's losing the bid. And you can kind of see that the interest in this one's really drying up, despite the fact that it's up 350 some odd percent. But the momentum is really It's kind of lost at this point. Now, it does have a little bit of support here locally at 80 pennies, but you feel that might give way because we're putting in lower highs. So it feels like the sellers certainly are in control. That could all change. If we get above 90 pennies, you feel like the buyers definitely would look like they were in control because that's the level we've been talking about as a level of resistance on TCTM, that 90 penny area, but it's not forthcoming at the moment. In fact, we're a lot closer to that 80 penny area than we are 90. So that's a look. REBN, I see that being talked about in the chat. I'm interested in it, but it's at VWAP right now, and it's not really deciding what it wants to be when it grows up. So here is the look at REBN. We really do a Christmas tree retracement here, a triangle, an upside, basically a triangle retracement where we get up to 540, drop all the way down, hold $3. Now this is VWAP right here. We breach VWAP, and then quick as you like, we drop below VWAP. So I don't want to base my trades right now on REBN at VWAP because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of respect for it. But there is this trend line where there was aggressive buying of higher lows. So maybe that is how to trade this right now, not really to look to the moving averages. I don't think we have any areas of technical resistance until at around $5. So a bit of a gap right now in terms of resistance on REBN between the current price action into that $5 area. I don't see too much in terms of selling at that level. So let's load up REBN, in fact, on the side chart here and have a look at how the level 2 is dancing there. Neil also pointed out to me that 420 is acting as a major level of resistance right now on Tesla, and he's absolutely accurate. We're going to get to REBN in a second, but we got to 420 initially at about 20 after 12. And then we got a lower high there at 419.80. Wow. And now we have another lower high. There it is. What? See that drop?
In the markets there.
What happened in the market?
Yeah, look at the SPY and the Qs.
Okay, so we're definitely... Is Donald Trump talking again? No, not on the TV anyway. Tesla just dropped, Neil, man. I should have had that short. Tesla's dropping aggressively right now. Look at that drop, baby. Big moves right now on on Tesla. Adara's got something for us at the big desk.
So the White House is saying apparently that those reports that we heard from Reuters about a tariff starting on March 1st and slightly less extreme tariffs are false. So White House is saying those Reuters reports, guys, this is huge. White House saying Reuters reports are false. Now, why is that so significant? Because those reports from Reuters suggested, A, we would get tariffs a little bit later than expected, starting on March 1st, and B, they actually suggested there would be A, tariff exemption possibilities, and then also the idea that they'd be a little bit less stringent than we initially feared. So White House saying that these Reuters reports about later and less harsh tariffs are not, in fact, real. So White House calling fake news on Reuters, market dropping on that, guys. Back to you.
I knew this would happen, Joseph. We were talking, I think I was talking to Brendo. I was like, okay, so we had like a few years of subdued volatility for the exception of COVID, right? When Biden was in power. And now Donald Trump's in power and all hell is going to break loose. So it's really interesting to see the volatility we get from any time this guy tweets, goes on the mic. And he loves his prolonged press conferences. And that's the thing. The longer the press conference, the more you're spewing out, stuff.
Yeah,
so the more we can obviously get in terms of volatility. So right now, keep your eye out. The market taking a downturn, Katina, man, because the orange man is, coming out with new things over here. Volatility is good for these markets, so we're going to keep an eye out on this, guys, and we'll look to trade these bad boys. Got stopped out of OKLO at the volume-weighted average price. We're coming down aggressively. Here we go. So we got that high print at 14.55, but look at all the bleeding coming in on Rigetti right now. Lots of moves down here. I'm looking at possibly adding on Rigetti if it continues to move down like this at 14. 14 was such a good area of resistance. I'm wondering, does it act as support at these levels? Adara's at the big desk.
This is huge, guys. So we're hearing more here from the White House on tariffs. I suspect there will be a couple more interruptions as we continue to digest this news. But basically, the White House saying that, unlike what Reuters said, these tariffs are going to be taking place here on February 1st or on Saturday. They said there's no update with regards to any possible exemptions. They've announced 25% tariffs for Canada and Mexico and 10% tariffs for China. So keep an eye on China. These tariffs are actually smaller than those for Canada and Mexico, but apparently all three tariffs, so Canada, Mexico, China, set to start tomorrow, guys, February 1st. And with regards to countries being able to get exemptions, they have no update as to whether or not that will be the case. So this is really undoing a lot of what we heard from Reuters around 12 p.m., suggesting lighter tariffs that would happen a little bit later. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. All right, we're scalping nicely right now on your boy Oklo, dipped back in, reclaim VWAP. So we're taking out the majority of the position already on the nice little scalp. It's going to have to hold this 10 penny area. Here we go. Now we're waiting at 50, showing me 44s, 45s now on the ask. It's going to have to continue. That was an aggressive move down on OKLO. Here it comes. Let's see if we can get some prints up at that level. Not forthcoming quite yet, so we're going to pack our patience on that one. Were we long there? Okay, yeah, coming back down, though, into my area right now. We'll have to see if there's any continuity in this market. Otherwise, we're going to have to get out of dodge. We got some room over here between our entry and the current price action. So OKLO taking a bit of a nosedive right now after the release of more information there about tariffs, holding at that volume weighted average price for now. Underline that, for now. What else we got over here? I'm still holding Rigetti, but TCTM, I think I'm going to have to cut this one because, well, it's breaking down now. I've moved up my stop into 75 pennies. It doesn't look like it's going to really hold this level unless it bounces off VWAP at the moment. So TCTM in some trouble, coming to the downside right now, Joseph, on the news that we're getting more tariffs or the new tariff information. This is the trade that I really wish I took a bit more seriously. That 420 top that Neil called out, Tesla still bleeding to the downside right now, guys. Big move down for Tesla at these levels. It's not even letting me in the short, so we're going to continue to watch to see what the situation is with the Cybertruck, Joseph, but a lot of selling in this market.
Like this new cup I found here?
Oh, it's a nice one. Yeah, that's mine right there.
Washroom there.
Oh, yeah? Washroom.
There we go. Yeah, guys, let's see what we got going on. A lot of volatility stepping into the market here as we continue to the south side. We'll talk about the market, but I know we have a couple super chats here that we haven't gone over. So Dre Day for the dollar, thank you, doesn't put anything behind it. Much appreciated. But then Dre Day here again with the $2 super chat. LMT, what you think? Appreciate you. Keep doing your thing. Okay, that was a slang there. Yeah, let's take a look at Lockheed here, LMT, and see what we got going on from an intraday perspective. Yeah, looking good. Not the most liquid thing that we got going on, but as of right now, that trend is intact. Let's zoom out here and see what we got going on from a daily perspective. Oh, okay, wow. Off these highs, I mean, if you're going to grab something, then why not down here? Running into some key support levels is Lockheed Martin. And the bounce to the penny almost. So if you breach this gap into this 478 gap here, I think you're going to be sitting clean and maybe go and test some of these highs here. So I like Lockheed Martin all the way down 13. Here. I think it's going to be a good trade and continue to be a good trade because we know that all the political unrest that we have going around the world. But yeah, guys, let's see what we got going on with the overall market here in the Qs, selling off on that news. So the volatility really stepping in. Someone in the chat said, hey, Joe, the VIX is spiking. And sure enough, that's where you get that inverse correlation between the two. And yeah, it's nothing crazy, right? You're not going to get that insane spike. This isn't news that we essentially already don't know. So it is spiking, but nothing to get too giddy about, I guess, unless you are trading it from an intraday perspective. But the market is absolutely tanking, heading to the south side, bringing a lot of these tech names with it, especially Tesla, now trading at 415, had a high of day of around 420. Now going to go and possibly test the volume-weighted average price is Tesla. But unfortunately, it is also dragging Bitcoin down with it, down to 104,000 and change on Bitcoin, Sharif.
All right, we're short Tesla right now at 74s. I took almost $1 there at 16s. Let's see if it wants to continue bleeding here. TSLA giving you a nice little move down. Let me tell you though, anything against me here, I'm going to flatten out. It's going to have to continue moving down. Here comes the whole dollar again. I'm sitting on the south side of the whole dollar. I'm sitting at 45.80s, but it's coming up against me again. So I think I'm going to flatten out anything above 417. Obviously, it's a very volatile name, but it did did pop up against me. I was about almost like 40 pennies out of the money, and then it dropped aggressively to the downside, and then I got multiple prints. So let's see if we can take out some up in this area over here. There we go. Nice move back down with TSLA. Let's take out some down here as well. A lot of zigzag right now on Tesla, so we're going to keep tabs on that, Joseph. All right, let's see what else we're doing over here on OKLO. Bouncing right back up. So I got stopped out of that one, but bouncing right back up on the volume weighted average price. 2 hammer candles at this level. I like it. Let's take out some at the 40 penny level, but good move here for OKLO. And what I like it for is the 2 hammer candles that it's put in. So nice move right there on OKLO. I took out TCTM because it's no longer valid at this level. So if it wants to hold VWAP and then break that 90 penny level, then maybe we'll get involved. But I'm definitely not going to keep dealing with this one as it's a bit of a bamboozler. TCTM, yeah, I mean, it's up nicely on the day, but yeah, hi. So we'll keep tabs on that. Joseph, I don't have much else. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't got too much going on either right now, my friend. We're flat right now. See if we get that bounce. I mean, that volume really stepped in. So we're going to wait for any form of indecision candle at some of these lows, or that we're just going to continue to sell here on this Friday. Looking for those bounces may be a little bit more tough and somewhat scarce. So yeah, we just got to monitor, be patient. Sometimes no position is the best position. So as of right now, that's going to be the case for me. VIX spiking. SoFi, I know Patrick in the chat said he's been printing up an absolute storm on those. So congratulations to you. I'm glad you made some money. You're talking about those 16 puts that you bought, and now you're trading below that. So congratulations with the expiration cycle of being today. So good luck there, Patrick. Congratulations on that big win. It is a solid Friday for you. It seems to be the case. So once again, good trading, my friend. Yeah, I mean, PLTR is still holding pretty tough here, guys. Let's pull it up and see what we got going on. Yeah, I mean, still, it hasn't sold off like the rest of the market. It's still up about 4.25% or 4% here. Holding VWAP. If we break through these key support levels and that momentum steps in, then maybe we'll look to participate because the overall market is selling. So maybe it's just a little bit laggard here on that case. So waiting for these support levels to be broken and that volume to be stepping in, Sharif. Other than that, just sitting on my hands.
Yes, sir. Yes, we're still holding Rigetti, by the way. I want to see if the Rigetti wants to hold at this level. It's been holding the 10 exponential at around $14, but I'm not really sure about this one. So I don't really want to add. Now, it dropped into 14.02, then bounced out quite aggressively. But yeah, I don't know if this is the time to be adding at these levels. That's the question I'm trying to ask myself over here. So trying to think about this one. I'm also in OKLO at VWAP, but it's not holding VWAP. Small shares here. It's going to have to hold the 42.90 level. We've got layered orders here, so if we can get a pop back up on OKLO, OKLO is what I'm talking about, into the third of a dollar. That would be interesting there. Here we go, popping up. All right, so we're taking some shares there on OKLO. Not bad, not bad. Let's see if it wants to pop up some more. Still at VWAP, though. So it's not really clearing VWAP by any distance. So OKLO, we're along 17s now with the prints at the third of a dollar. Here we go, back into that third. Can we see some 40s show up? I'm waiting at 40s and 50s over here. Here we go, showing me 40s now on the ask. We're holding size right now, guys, so we'll have to take out some up here. Let's layer the orders, though, so that we can catch the move up if there is a prolonged move up. So I'm layering my orders to the high side up in on OKLO. We're taking out some shares. Good move right now, coming into that $0.50 again. Now we got 15 cost basis showing me 44s. OKLO looking for this one to squeeze to the high side as it made a new 5-minute candle to make a new high. And there we go. We're getting a squeeze into the $0.50. Good look right now on OKLO at that $0.50, but we're going to have to clear it to keep going here to fill these prints into the 60s. So we'll see what this one wants to do, but up into that mid 40s. So zoom in a little bit on this one. Yeah, so good move so far on this one. 13s now, the cost basis. That $0.50, though, is acting really stubborn as a level of resistance. So let's see if we can clear it. Can we get up? We're seeing the $0.50 again show up on the ask. There we go. We get a partial print somehow. There we go. Nice. Now we get the full print. Still having trouble breaking through and holding above the $0.50. on OKLO. What else we got? We still have TCTM though, but that still hasn't breached the volume weighted average price. So took out some shares there. It probably behooves me to take out more here because I still have a lot. There we go. We de-risk a little bit there. Sorry, guys. I can't really look at the chat today. I'm in way too many trades and with larger shares, so I'm not going to be able to communicate as much in the chat. I do apologize, but there is Monday, obviously. Adair's at the big desk.
We have Ford and GM here. I'm just trying to assess some of these tickers that are moving here, F and GM, with regards to the tariffs. Again, just to clarify, GM especially got a nice little push up with volume after Reuters reported that these tariffs that we were expecting on Canada and Mexico would not take place until March 1st, and they would be possible exemptions. But then the White House came out and said that Reuters report is false. They will be taking place tomorrow, February 1st, and no exemptions as of right now, though they're still evaluating that. The other thing I want to mention, too, is I'm seeing some stuff here with regards to NVIDIA. The White House, I guess, was asked about this during a briefing, and they said they have no details on the NVIDIA meeting, which is set to take place at 2:30 p.m. So we'll be watching NVIDIA at 2:30 p.m., which is when apparently we have NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen Huang, said to have a meetup there. So I'm going to be watching that stock, of course, as we head into that time. Yeah, so again, just to clarify, Trump and NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang set to meet at 2:30 p.m., but they have zero other details as of right now, guys.
For that, Adara.
As always, yeah, so we're in, me and Oscarito just talking in the chat here. Sorry, guys, I gotta stop sitting so close and slouching at the screen. But yeah, he said don't short it, it's so strong. And I'm like, well, the momentum in the market is to the downside, and we've been hovering at these highs for quite some time. So that consolidation phase, it's either we break to the top side, the momentum's gonna go one way. So I'm like, with the overall market selling, I decided to follow it. So it's working out right now. Let's see how deep this can go. But as of right now, well, not really, Oscarito. Like, at the same time, you still have risk measures in place, right? So it's whatever you're risking on the trade, it is what it is. So again, just not trying to complicate things and just following the direction of these markets. And that seems to be to the downside as of right now. But we're going to start to hop into some cover mode on this because you are not wrong on the fact that it's strong. So I don't know how deep this move to the downside is not going to be. So let me get some out here, guys, and we'll take the majority of it. Well, not the majority, 10%. We'll still hold some here, see what we got cooking up. It's really working well for us. So we want to milk this as long as we possibly can, especially with the market just tanking. Even though it is still slightly green on the session, we can pull up. We can pull up the Qs. Still positive about 0.6% here. So, I mean, nothing crazy, nothing to get too worked up about. But again, we know what Donald Trump is up to. Now the volatility stepping in. Day Trader Cut made a valid point. He's like, man, this guy's back in office. Best believe that volatility is going to step in, and you need to put in those stops, especially when you're not paying attention, because you don't know what this guy's going to say on any given day.
All right, short Tesla, just took a quick dollar there on TSLA, but it's bouncing back up. Here's VWAP, guys, so be careful. We can get a VWAP bounce here on TSLA. The future also finding support at 750, 21,750. Be careful. So to watch out for this one. Now, I'm seeing here 416, a lot of chop and churn at 416 on Tesla. So this could be an interesting area to get back in for a dead cat bounce. The future getting a bit of a bounce right now off 21,750 on the NQ December or March contract, 21.8 in focus. So if we move up into 21.8, that could be an interesting area to short again. Here's the dead cat bounce. Okay, so we did move up to 41.60 on Tesla. Now we're back down into 414. Yeah, sorry, 41.30. I'm losing it. 414 right now. So we'll keep an eye on this one. The low there, right around 413.5. So there is good movement to the downside here. Now, if we give up the level in the future, which is at that 21,750 area, this could be another short on Tesla. So I don't mind getting back into this, depending on what we do on the futures here. We'll talk more about that when we get back from Adair at the big desk.
This part of the show is brought to you by eSignal. New traders, listen up. First month, free. That's right, we're waiving fees. Trade smarter, not harder. Upgrade to an elite. Analyze, strategize, capitalize. Our platform, it is everything. Infinite data, instant trading. Lightning fast market insights. Game-changing charts. Predict with back testing. Reliable, real-time data. Global markets at your fingertips. all in one platform, so don't miss out. Execute your best trades now. Are you ready to elevate your trading? Scan that QR code or check the link in the description. Back to you.
We just took another dollar,
Let's
bro.
go. Whoa, hit it.
All right, man. All right, guys, we shorted again on TSLA. Dead cat bounce 414.15. Took it out at 412.75. Here, Tesla still bleeding, guys. There's more money here on the table. Tesla is leaving more money on the table right now. So far, we got low wick at 412s. We are now below VWAP, though, guys, so this could get really ugly. We're also below 21,750, so that move up into 800 didn't really happen. And it popped up, I think, into above 75s, maybe into that low 80s, and then right back down we went again. My trades on Tesla are quite short-lived because it's very volatile. It's going dollars at a time right now. Thank you, Adair. Get it. So we'll see exactly what. Here we go with the low again, bro. Here we go with the low again, Joseph. We just broke the low. Oh my goodness! Here comes 412 on TSLA. No bid right now on Tesla, guys. It's the worst looking one in terms. Well, Apple is obviously very ugly as well. But in terms of really not seeing a bid, like you're getting a green candle on Meta, you're getting a green candle on Amazon. Likewise with Google. Likewise with Nvidia. Not so on TSLA. We're dropping. This one could be into 410. What's the opening print? There's no way we go back to 400. That's a low on the day, 401.34. LOD on TSLA. I don't think we make it down there. That's kind of crazy over here on TSLA to think we're going to give back 20 bucks. But I know anybody can do it. It's probably Tesla. JP says in the chat, Tesla to 400. We may see that. I don't know. I don't think we get that aggressively low on TSLA. But we're going to keep an eye out on this one, though. Bounce right now into about 413.5. Careful with this one, as it could mean revert back above VWAP. VWAP, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit below that 415 area. Right now, I'm seeing it as 414 1/3 on Tesla. So we're right at VWAP right now. Rejecting. No, so we're $1 below VWAP right now on TSLA. It just kind of looks like we're at it because, well, the price action is so compressed. So let's see what this one wants to do. If it wants to continue to give us a downside move, I'll take that. Otherwise, I don't want to give back too much here on Tesla, as I'm seeing green candles on all the other names. Amazon, Meta. Amazon's above VWAP again. So let's bring in the side charts over here and have a look at which one is the weakest of the bunch. Sorry, one sec. Yeah, so you're seeing green candles on Meta, green candles on Amazon, likewise with Nvidia. Yeah, Uber and Netflix obviously aren't Mag 7 names, but Tesla seems to be the weak one right now. Google getting a second 5-minute candle to make a new high off VWAP, so Google is continuing to show its strength. Microsoft has a green candle, none for Tesla at the moment, despite the fact that it's up 3 1/4 on the day. Still a higher low off that 412, essentially bounce. We're still trading at 413 1/3 right now. So have to see how this one wants to end up resolving. Are we going to continue to bleed to the downside? Probably has a lot more to lose from tariffs. I'm talking about Tesla than some of the other names like Amazon and Google, which are more, well, Amazon obviously sells products, but they're very services based. So we'll see exactly how low Tesla wants to go here. The future is making its way back, though, as I mentioned, back up to 21.8. Watch out for 21,800. We're like 2 points or 3 points away from it right now. That could help move the market back up. Meta looks like it wants to move back into VWAP, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, good move right now on Tesla to the high side. Not really going to take this as a long. I don't feel that that's the best trade for me, but though Adira is at the big desk.
Just be aware here, JetBlue, United Airlines here saying that they're actually not in any negotiations or discussions with any airlines regarding a merger or acquisition. So this is notable because a couple days ago, we had some reports rumbling around here that JetBlue and UAL were going to be in a merger. Then UAL says it's not the case with any airline, and JetBlue drops there. So beware, JetBlue, UAL merger reportedly not happening according to the company itself. But then we also have here some European plays on watch. You've got a little bit of a bounce just now on some of these European tickers like ASML, STLA a little bit as well. Basically, there were some updates here on tariff talks from the White House saying that Donald Trump has apparently not made up his mind on a tariff timeline for the EU. So giving some of these EU names a quick bout of relief. But I mean, ASML still right now falling back to lows, guys. Back to you.
Someone in the chat had a good question. I don't know if it's about the sales of Tesla in Mexico and Canada, but I know that about 20 to 25% of the parts come from Mexico that Tesla uses, so maybe that has some influence on it, because I don't know if they're going to be tariffed or not, but that's just what I've been reading up on. Officially bought it was 10. Sorry, what's that?
Good point.
Yeah, so yeah, a lot of the parts come from Mexico. Officially said bought it was at 107. Nice. Officially bought some puts there on the VIX on that spike. Good luck there, because now we are starting to pull back to the top side, so you'll get that inverse correlation, those put values heading to the top side as we start to recover here. So nice look. Let me know how that works out for you officially. We're not in anything right now. We got out of the PLTR trade. Guys on that short, so got the bottom, came back to the break even. So let's see if we decide to curl back over and the downside momentum continues. But as of right now, gonna keep it cool. I do like the way that Tesla's setting up, so maybe we'll take a stab on this long here, just because of that indecision candle there right below VWAP. Are you talking about the Tesla?
Yeah,
line there?
I was thinking about switching long, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that. I'm like,
if it breaks the low of it, then thesis invalid. But as of right now, I think that's a good bounce play there, Sharif.
Yeah. REBN, we're taking a bounce trade off the 50 exponential. For whatever reason, it keeps bouncing off this level. So if it wants to do that, then we'll take it. It did that initially at 12 o'clock. It's doing that again with a doji candle to boot. So here we go. I'm waiting, where now? 46 is here. We should be getting the print awfully soon, because we're 46 on the ask. It's a bit of a spready name for a $3 stock, obviously, because the spread right now is about 3 pennies. I've seen it wider at times. We'll take a little bit more out there. Looking for that 3.5 break, looking essentially for a VWAP retracement. VWAP's around 383. If we can get that, that would be good. That will give me a nice scalp play on this, but we're long at 34, so basically anything below 30, I'm just gonna get out on this one. So it's gonna have to hold the 50 exponential moving average on the 5. Maybe we'll get some more prints when we get back from the big desk with Adara.
It's been a super exciting session here with the market in terms of small caps and large caps, and of course, all this tariff news. But Michael, you were noticing a move in a sector we haven't talked about much with regards to tariffs. We're looking at Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I think this just kind of proves that crypto is going to be correlated to the market, because of course there's not going to be any detriment to Bitcoin's price if there's tariffs, if there's not tariffs. So I think this is kind of a sympathy move to the market. So this is where I'm going to watch, especially now that we're going into the weekend and we need to see how all this digests over the weekend. It's a great weekend barometer for the market. So Bitcoin continuing to struggle at this 108 area that it's been just hitting over and over and over again. So I think, again, it's a pretty simple move. We can get above that and hold that. That's going to be strong for Bitcoin, but if not, we're just back into this range. Kind of funny, but something I've talked to you guys a lot about, and something that they teach us in the CMT and I trade off of often, is the magazine cover indicator. And the idea is that these magazines are often wrong. So funny enough, if Bitcoin's going to reverse here, this is a very interesting chart where, you know, this first one is the Luna founder, and Forbes was hyping him up right before that collapse. And then we all know Sam Bankman-Fried at the top of the market. Before, they were hyping him up, and now they have one on Michael Saylor, who's big into the Bitcoin space, as we could potentially reversing here. So these lows that were sitting around $90,000 or so, that we need to watch that. Last but not least, when I came in, I remember I saw Neil, and he was talking about how it's Ethereum's turn, and he was kind of liking the look of Ethereum. This chart is just that. It's Ethereum over Bitcoin. So if the line's going down, Bitcoin's doing better. If the line's going up, Ethereum's doing better. And you're seeing it's about 30-minute line chart. We're getting that move out. So I don't know if it's going to be the magazine cover indicator is going to get us to maybe sell some Bitcoin and maybe buy some Ethereum, but again, very strong move and very interesting to see it correlated with the market, even though it's not going to have anything to do with tariffs at all.
And I think what's really interesting too there is, I remember also CZ apparently was on the cover of Ford of Binance, and then that dropped as well. Thank you very much for giving us that update on the covers and how that might impact, or has been a little bit of an indicator in the past. Back to the guys.
Thank you.
The Dara, and Michael Noss had, what's his name? Sam Bankman-Fried on there. That had me thinking. You know what headline I saw today?
What's that?
SBF's parents are trying to lobby Donald Trump for
The pardon?
For a pardon, Joseph.
That should be illegal.
What is happening?
Yeah, he should be locked up for the rest of his life. I mean, what happened to Bernie Madoff, right? Like he rotted in jail. He died in jail, I'm pretty sure. So I don't think Sam Bankman-Fried should be able to see the light of day again, especially what he had done with the FTX scam, opening up in the Bahamas. Well, what do you think offshore brokers are doing there? And that's why we tell you guys be aware of the offshore brokers, because they don't follow the same regulatory factors that you do in the States. So that's why you're operating somewhere that doesn't have the same rules and laws. So in my opinion, I don't think SBF should be allowed out of jail.
I'm trying to find the article. I don't know why it's not found it. But yeah, SBF, apparently his parents are trying to lobby Donald Trump for a pardon. I can't really understand for the life of me, what could be the grounds for the pardon. What mistake did the justice system make here that should alleviate him of responsibility? The dude was chalked out on drugs, taking money that's supposed to be in customer accounts and funneling it over from FTX, which is a brokerage, into his hedge fund. What mistake, what miscarriage of law could possibly have happened there? The dude needs to pay. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about how you guys feel about it in the chat. Dinkelberg, SPF has a free Diddy party every day. He doesn't want to leave. He should never see the light of day, says Don Cherry. Miami Dragon. How many millions will it cost? I hope that that's not the case, but your point well taken. What else we got over here? Let's go crypto, says D. Kennedy. Wow, trying to lump SBF with Sailor like comparing apples and pretzels, says Adrian. I don't think that's what he was doing, my man, but the point was to just, to make his point there. But what we're talking about right now is SBF and the fact that he should not be getting out of jail. And this is the...
and his sentence was light, in my opinion, 25
Here it
years.
is. Here it is, Joseph. Let's bring in the news article
man.
there. Sam Bankman's this is being reported by Bloomberg, apparently. Sam Bankman-Fried's, okay, all right, you're going to make me go through a paywall? All right, then I'm going to get around it, baby. Here we go. Can't show it on screen, Joseph. We need to, do everything kosher. Here we go. Let's bring it in. Sam Bankman-Fried, the parents of FTX co-founder Sam Bankman-Fried are exploring ways to secure a pardon for the one-time crypto billionaire from President Donald Trump. Stanford law professors Joseph Bankman and Barbara Fried had meetings in recent weeks with lawyers and other figures considered to be in Trump's orbit about clemency for their 32-year-old son, who was sentenced to a quarter century in prison for fraud. It's unclear if the outreach has been made to the White House. Bankman-Fried declined to comment. A lawyer for Bankman-Fried, who's also filed a legal appeal for the 2023 conviction, didn't immediately respond to requests for comment. The White House declined to comment. The President Swift, okay, they're trying to basically say that he used it for the Silk Road runner, that Ross. I can't say his last name. Do you know how to say this guy's last name? Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. I know he was a Silk Road guy. I watched a documentary about this guy.
Ross Ulbricht.
Yeah. Ulbricht? Okay, yeah. Yeah, or seeking Trump's mercy, Bankman-Fried, who went from industry darling to villain overnight, would be appealing to a man who went from crypto skeptic to booster. The crypto industry and the libertarian movement strongly advocated for a pardon for that Silk Road guy who was serving a life sentence. Yeah, I get it. I mean, they're trying to draw comparisons between the two, but I don't really see. One guy was creating an exchange for people to sell stuff on, and then it was misused, obviously,
the Silk Road,
for Silk Road. Yeah. Misused to obviously sell some stuff, but the other guy just was knowingly
funneling everything into
Alameda. I don't know if they're the same.
Alameda research, I think it was. So yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how I feel. And it's not a good feeling, to be honest with you. I don't like Sam Bankman-Fried at all. At all. At all. Yeah, exactly.
He showed no remorse, bro.
He's like narking on everybody. It was all them. It was all them. Like, come on, bro.
Man, if that Caroline Ellison got away, she ended up getting jailed. But apparently, she was gonna skip a jail sentence because she ratted on him. She gave
everything,
the goods there. I mean, so good thing she got some. Too. Showtime. 1. Trump pardons SBF. I'm moving to Canada. We'll have you anyway, brother. No worries. Let's see what else people are talking about. Miami Dragon. Silk Road guy tried to kill people and he got a pardon. I didn't actually know he tried to kill people. Thank you for letting me know. What else we got over here? Ulbricht, says Dakota Campo. Thank you. Yoko's liar. He's not going to pardon him. I really hope not. Pardon Huck to us, says Mike Davis. We're hitting the bay on. She hasn't even been charged with a criminal offense yet. She's still, I don't know if she's in hiding or what. Umr, they should be seeking the mercy of everyone he defrauded. Very good point, my man. But my understanding is, not like I'm trying to make excuses for SPF, that's not what I'm doing at all. But my understanding was a lot of people got money back because crypto ended up moving up. So it's like they held, well, fact check us on this, chat, but apparently most people who lost money at least got most of their money back. I think it was like 90-something%
of that,
give or take.
Well, we can ask, what's it, Kevin O'Leary if he got his money back.
Yeah, that's a good point. He was talking about, he's like, where's the money?
Yeah,
where's the money, Sam?
Where did it go? Yeah, where did it go, Sam? Where is the money? Well, I can tell you where it went. Not that difficult.
Once SPF is pardoned, Joseph, according to Ricardo, then Trump will pardon Elizabeth Holmes. I don't want to see that either. Kyle Burdett, tap, tap, tap. This thing on. Neil said no free-for-all Friday. I don't know. Hey, man, when Donald Trump is on the mic, anything is possible. Look, again, we talked about this. I had trade during the first administration of Donald Trump, but from the OGs here on the floor, you talk to them and they basically tell you expect the unexpected. Anything can happen any day. But at least we get volatility, Joseph, right? Yeah. Obviously, and if you're in a position and he says something goes against you, you're not very happy. But as a day trader, we're looking for volatility most of the time.
Of course. But I don't understand what this, like, Trump's tariffs. I don't know what that has to do with Bitcoin. It just needed anything to just sell the price off.
Don't worry about that, bro. I'm not going one way.
Oh, I'm worried, my guy.
I know you're holding shares. I know you're holding shares, but I'm telling you, have faith, baby. Josh J. Why is the market press crypto falling? Just joined back. Yeah, Donald Trump making tariff announcements. We know how the volatility is with Donald Trump and tariffs in general because they can affect balance sheets markedly. You can affect, obviously, profits and losses as well as relationship between countries, which could have farther reaching implications. So that's the situation there. Let's see what else people are talking about there in the chat. Let's see, Tesla rejecting VWAP, says Thomas Johnson. Let's bring in the trusty side charts and have a look at what Tesla is up to. Yes, sir. Tesla did work into the volume weighted average price and then rejected quite handily. Tesla on the way down, breaking the area where I got out. Is there any support here for Tesla? I mean, there's this high from yesterday at around 410. We'll have to see if that ends up being an area of support. But yeah, Tesla, to build on your point, absolutely on the way down. Tom Brady asked him, says Joe Logan. Yeah, I know you're joking there, obviously, because Tom Brady obviously had some money given to him by SPF. SPF took your money, tried to trade it, and blew it, says M. Stone. That's a great summary, and I think that's absolutely
exactly what he did. That's exactly what he did.
His nerdy girlfriend spent it out. Come on, Oscar. You don't have to call her nerdy. I get what you're saying. But yeah, we're talking about, what's her name? What's that? Yeah, he was. Not something that we brag about, Ram, but yeah, he was.
You had him on here?
Brendo had him.
No way.
Well, before anybody knew he was a thief, right? Crazy to think an hour ago I had the best green January I've had in years. In 1 hour I've raced all those gains. I'm sorry, Derek. That's kind of how trading is, brother. And
I told a story about that earlier today, so.
Yeah, it's kind of
the discipline.
Yeah, that's the deal with Tesla. No such thing as a long-term hold when Trump is around, says Stevie B. Good point, my man. Apple on a sell program, says M. Stone. Don't I know it, baby. I'm done, Rigetti, dude. I traded it to the high side today, so shout out to Rohit. I'm going to be chilling for the next 4 minutes. We're going to be looking at what the people are saying in the chat. Oscarito made me read that one out loud. What did you do to this time, Donald, says Tan Telmo BA. I don't know, man. It's all tariffs. We know how it is. White House meeting at 2:30 p.m. NVIDIA, says Ralph Pyle. Adara already reported about that. We already knew about that this morning. Jensen Huang, who was not, Joseph, at the inauguration ceremony, will be in the White House today, which is interesting because, he was visibly absent at that time. So that's a look there. Guys, Google's holding on the best of the names right now. Let's show the chart there on Google. What a fantastic hold. Google doesn't even know there's anything to do with tariffs. It is the best looking chart in Mag 7 world. With respect where we all are relative to VWAP, all the Mag 7 below the volume weighted average price except for Google. Google on the way up. Is this a new all-time high? That
On
205?
Google, yes, it is. All-time high on Google's and Amazon.
All-time highs, as you heard it. Google and Amazon. Google a lot closer to the highs right now. 205.48. That's a high. That's an all-time high. We're printing 205.17s, but Google looking real good right now. Meta, though, trying to work its way back into the volume-weighted average price into that 699 area. Here's a look at Meta. A nice retracement there, but VWAP. An elusive target. I tried to take a long off VWAP today on Meta, had a couple of outs, then got stopped out for the rest. Probably the wrong idea to take it on the third time. It did give you VWAP bounces the first couple of times, though. So that's a look right now on the market. Lots of volatility today. Big Spile's pumped. He sees the market coming down. He's pleased as punch, as Adair likes to say. So we'll keep tabs on that. Unaview, if you have a big boss, how do you approach the big loss? I mean, how do you approach the next trading day? Have a short-term memory when it comes to the emotions of the loss, but try to learn from the technical failures. So if you're going to have that emotional reaction, and that's kind of like, visceral to you, you've got to get over that super quick. Get your mind off it into something that, makes you feel a little bit better. But don't forget the lessons of the loss. That's what I would say to you about that. John Del Segno, LOL, Hims could give him a flying fun. I like that, John. About any down move at all. Let's have a look at HIMS. It looks like it's doing well. It's like maybe a Google trade right now because Google is well above the volume weighted average price while everything else not doing. Your point well taken. I did not have an eye on Hims at all. But that is a good look, my man. Coming into that $38 area, that's essentially the high of the day. It's kind of bull flagging. It's had two bull flags, two continuous bull flags. That initial one right off the jump there at 930, you've got a bit of a consolidation. It held the 20, didn't even move back into VWAP. So strong was HIMS, and then you got the second bull flag. Though I don't know if today's the day for that third bull flag. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. I would submit to you probably more often than not, you don't get that third bull flag. Maybe you get a consolidation and then maybe an upward channel of higher highs and higher lows. But it's a good look right now on HIMS. This is the 5-minute chart on it, by the way, Joseph. Good look. I didn't have eyes on that. I would have been interested in this one if I did know about that one. Service Titan as well. TTAN also couldn't care about. Let's have a look at TTAN before we send it to the big kahunas. Yeah, this is a good one as well. You can tell it's a lot more lightly traded than Hims. This has only done about 108,000 shares on the day, to be honest, and I could tell you it looks that way. Just given the late chart there, Joseph. What do you got, brother?
Yeah, no, nothing really flat right now, guys. Tried that Tesla long, didn't work out. Broke the low, so we got out of Dodge. PLTR short worked out a little bit for us. Let's see what we got going on. Apple's still bleeding here, guys. So a tough wound, hidden artery on the session, it seems to be the case. Heading to the downside, 235 and change is Apple. But, I mean, it is what it is, guys. Expect this. I think a lot of people are saying this. Expect this for the next 4 years, especially when Donald Trump decides to come on the mic and start talking. He's going to add volatility to the market. So, again, don't let it ruin your Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Monday's a new day. And, yeah, just forget about the markets, take a little break, and enjoy yourself.
Here you go. All right, guys, it is time to send you to the big kahunas to our right, Neil and Sean. Joseph and I will be back on Monday, same bat time, same bat channel, guys. Take it easy. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Hey, thank you very much. Who is that guy?
And have a good week.
Who is that idiot who said it's not going to be a free fall Friday? Fire him immediately.
Yeah, I said there's no free fall Friday. I said
it too.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Oh, I know. I was being self-deprecating.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
I was like, oh, there's never. But is it a free fall?